Watch what? I'm gonna get mine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown. It's your fool, bitch. So just step back. Or I'm mad that when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's go. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's go. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll.
Trouble time. Get something in your rear. Trouble time. Get something in your rear. Trouble time. Get something in your rear. Trouble time. Get something in your rear.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you wanna roll with?
Welcome to the Sativa Cross podcast on the Thursday of today, being the first day of May. I am Righty, and this is Lefty, and this is the Sativa Cross podcast, hosted from the Mad Hatter Dispensary.
Hi there, I'm Lefty. I'm here at the Mad Hatter Dispensary, but I'm actually next door at the Tea House Club, where we can use cannabis here.
I've decided to...
Here, let me show you how we light up a blunt here at the Tea House Club.
You need to think, man. You're storing punches. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing. But that aside, that's Lefty. I'm Righty. I've just given myself this designation for symmetry, because I realized that that's really where, at the end of the day, the decision lies between you're right and wrong, me, right? So yeah, I'd rather keep those instances to ourselves, but let's just say the names stand are self-explanatory, at least for me. I'm rambling a bit right now. Lefty, do we have a guest today?
Yes, we do. We have a cannabis nurse.
A cannabis nurse, another one. I love the cannabis nurses. Don't get me wrong. I think we do need to start switching up a little bit with the guests. I'm definitely going to be bringing in guests on. For those of you who are unaware and watching right now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, if you haven't seen my promo, have always been Sativa Cross, as you see here. Well, now Mondays and Wednesdays are going to be the Bucket Man Show, presented by the Mad Hatter, or with love from the Mad Hatter, or however we're phrasing that. The point is, it's associated with the Mad Hatter. This will be hosted from my apartment and sometimes a Mad Hatter, sometimes other locations, but primarily from my apartment, where we will play Magic the Gathering, smoke cannabis, review products, and have guests down the road. Lefty said he's going to come join me sometime soon. And yeah, we'll get some people in here, teach people the fundamentals of Magic, ramble a bit, talk cannabis, and yeah, I'm still structuring a lot of this. For those of you who are a little more familiar with me, and if you're not familiar with me, I had I structured that sentence poorly, but I'm going to continue here. I had a show originally when I started my whole content called The Bucket Man Show. It was a series where I'd I'd play a deck in Magic the Gathering Arena and cut through with skits and things like that. And since I've spread that out to various different corners of content, except for the Bucket Man Show, up until now. So again, Mondays and Wednesdays from the Mad House on the screens of the Mad Hatter, rather to say, with love from the Mad Hatter, the Bucket Man Show. That's all I got for that. There's a promo. You can go look at that up. I'll give you like a sticker if I see you, but like that's all I got. I have something else I will kind of tease. I may have solidified on merch that I'm going to start having made. A little teaser. They're going to be pipes and skins for 510 batteries. And that's all I can say right now. I can say more, but they're just about that.
Use your words. So today's special guest is.
You told me to use my words, and you told me to use my words, and I stayed silent. I screwed that up so badly.
Today's special guest is cannabis nurse Carmen Noonan. She'll be joining us around 5:30.
Wait. Did you say Noonan?
Yes.
Noonan. That's a Seinfeld. I haven't watched Seinfeld seriously enough, and I really should by now. It looks like a good show for what it is, and I think I would definitely start mimicking Kramer in bits I do. Jerry.
Let's see.
Jerry, I'm on the look for the police. What'd you do? I burned down a house.
So here's something interesting that happened in Saraville.
What? Yes.
I went to Saraville this week, and I saw a woman in a burqa, and she went up to the podium to speak. From what I understand, they were going to remove. Police were going to remove her. Well, the mayor texted the police. I found this out today. That the mayor texted the police to come because when I got there was only one cop, and when this woman went to the podium with the burqa, there was more than one cop there, and the police said that she's allowed to film and she's allowed to wear her burqa because they didn't like the burqa. They didn't like that she was filming, and they were gonna they wanted. The mayor wanted that woman arrested. The mayor wanted that woman arrested.
You echoed there. That's crazy. You should turn off your other things that are echoing this. But yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I heard the echo that you just so they wanted the woman arrested. That's I'd argue that to be a hate crime.
I'm going to open request all the text from the mayor because the mayor obviously texted the police. I'm going to open request that because when you do something when you're on the council and you text or take a picture, that's open requestable. I can request that and get that and any emails. So I'm going to get the emails, any phone calls. I want the dispatch call, anything, the text. I want all of it. I want to know what they said to the police.
Well, yeah, I mean. You can kind of predict about what they said in some sense. Obviously not word for word, but that there's some sort of like ignorance or something going on here. But let's be frank. There's been a green light in several aspects of this country as of recently, which it's really sad that we had most of the country on the same page about this topic and this person and everything. And we're now with the simple green lights of the action of a person who just sits in that office. Everyone's just like, oh, well, okay, well, I guess it's fine. But what about what we were saying before? Yeah, but he's a president now. It's definitely not a surprise that people are now being more brazen about this, especially political leaders. It's not right at all.
Okay, so last night, this woman was in Edison. Her name is Elram. Very nice lady. And she fights for freedom here in America. I like her. So she went to
nice.
Edison. What?
I said she sounds nice.
She is a sweetheart. And she fights for our rights. I like people that fight for our rights.
You should have her on the show. That would be a nice. That's the exact kind of change of pace I think we need. Again, I love the cannabis nurses that come on here, but I'm also a person who knows when we've had 4 cannabis nurses in a row on as a guest. I think you should definitely try to get her on.
All right, this is our friend.
Hello, Council. My name is Elram, ELRAM, Pador, PADOR, citizen of Earth. I'm here because I do not have Zoom access to take part in these meetings with Zoom. You took it away. After 19 months of giving to us, you took it away. So I have to risk my life to wear my burqa in public because it's very dangerous for me to go against my religion to show my body without the burqa in public. If I do, I will get stoned, and not New Jersey stoned, Middle Eastern stoned. Not good. I have to risk my life to come here to speak. And why do I come here to speak? Because Sam Joshi shut down the wheelchair access months ago. I saw it. He shut down the wheelchair access. Joshi and his security team shut down the wheelchair access, made sick and dying people go up this hill. Up this horrible hill, a one-legged woman, people in wheelchairs, sick and dying people, vets. You did not care for the disabled. There's a lawsuit against you for this. You are being sued. You think you would learn your lesson, but Monday, you shut down a deaf woman. All you had to do was go get the machine. You had Friday and Monday to get the machine. Why is it so hard to go get the machine? The BA cannot go down the hall and get the machine? The BA cannot stop them when they want to do something illegal against the ADA, but there's no banisters, no lighting, and no ramp? This town is horrible for the disabled. You treat them horribly. Sam Josh is to blame for blocking off the entrance. He's going to lose his erection, and we are all going to laugh when he loses his erection. He should lose his erection. And your BA should find another job. All you have to do is take care of the disabled. How hard is that to do? You're being sued for it. You should be aware of it, but you're not. You're asleep. Someday in your family, you'll see someone who's disabled. There's a very young man that comes here, very good-looking man, Lefty. He says to you every time, go in the wheelchair, spend one day in the wheelchair, and nobody ever does it. Nobody ever spends a day in the wheelchair. Why? Why? Because it's bad. It's horrible. And you should help anybody that's in a wheelchair. You don't even have access to this stupid platform here. You raise people up on a platform, except if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get up on a platform. No thought given to the disabled in this town. None.
Yes.
Hello, Council. My name is Elram, ELRAM, Pador, PADOR.
I mean, yeah, that's criminal. It's I it just I it's immeasurable in a lot of senses. The what you feel seeing someone in that position go all that way just to advocate. And that being said, Lefty, you need to.
Deaf woman was there Monday, and they
Yeah.
didn't have the interpreter or the machine for her. She called Friday. So they had 2 days to get the machine, go down the hall and get the machine. They never got the machine. All the stuff they've been through, they're getting sued. Do you think they would learn by now to take care of disabled people? But no.
Yeah, I see you getting angry here, and here's where I'm going to call you out. I have brought you a very useful tool that we could bring to these. I could bring to this council meeting. I have been there 3 times now, and you have canceled those nights for us to go. I'm certainly not going to go alone in an area where I don't live. So you need to pick a day and stick to the day so we can use this and let them know that someone licensed with the state is on their ass. Me.
You.
Well, and
Let's
you need to pick a day and stick to it and not go, oh, no, not tonight. No. Fighting doesn't get to reschedule. That's just, I didn't think I need to tell you that.
Was that a Robert De Niro impression? You.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You missed my walking impression earlier, and you're getting it now. It's Jim Miller here. He's a wonderful guy. He fights for cannabis advocacy, and oh God, he's just a wonderful guy.
I don't owe you money, do I? I'm joking.
I know you.
Well, thank you very much for saying that, but that's my way of being humble.
How are we doing, Jim?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Brother Rick just got a new surprise. He's got prostate cancer as well. So, it does affect my mood. That was a yesterday surprise. That adds on to, what do you call it, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and occasional bouts with skin cancer. So there you go. Oh, yeah, Lefty, he was wondering about FICO pills. He's like, I want to stick this in every fucking orifice. Like, I didn't tell him about belly buttons, though, putting it.
Belly buttons.
I tried that yesterday. Yeah. I love that works.
Cool.
That really works.
Makes sense, It does make sense. I tried a 1 milligram microdose of psilocybin yesterday, and I found it to be, if I had to explain it, because obviously it wasn't a psychoactive dose, but I'm pretty good about how I feel about things and how my head's working. And one thing I noticed is it made my past real to me. That's the quickest way to explain it. When I thought of things in the past, I felt connected to them again. When I think of them in the past now, I feel like it's a matter of history. Not, like anybody's. So I really like that. I'm going to go like every 3rd day and hope I don't get news like, well, yeah, I got prostate cancer. That kind of was in the middle of my trial, so it's hard to figure that. But anyway, yeah. And I'm willing to re-embrace my, what do you call it? Not expert. My only focal point being home grow for patients and moving a bill. My specialty. Yes, my specialty.
There was what's up? God damn my brain. Social justice water pipe just blanked on me right there. I lost my ability to read. It's these mango gummy bear dabs. They are wonderful.
Bangholio, join us. I sent you the link. Join us.
Yes,
I want to
please.
see what happened to you today. He looked like he was a mess today. I don't know what the heck.
I'm gonna wait for him to get here. I had a story I wanted. It's not cannabis related, but it's quick. I wanted to start off the cap. With
Well,
it really
Mikey
quick.
was there. He was at the Edison meeting last night to talk about the disability access, and how they treated another disabled person on Monday like crap, a deaf person. That very upsetting. And the BA, again, incompetent. She couldn't go down the hall and get the box. Get the box for the deaf lady.
I'm gonna rally throughout my neighborhood to find a bunch of other larger, bulkier disabled men like myself, and we're gonna start the crippled mafia, and we're gonna just pass by him. We're gonna be like, "Hey, that's a nice working body you got there. It's a shame if your body were to become disabled in some way, like ours."
Or differently abled.
Yeah, that's good, because that wouldn't be a threat. It'd be like, it would be a shame if your body started to be differently able. You take care of your body there.
It's such a bad look that you think even they would see that. They would feel the tone of what they're missing, to go through the channels to say, like a day ahead of time or more, I'm going to need the for hearing impaired, and they can do it, and they don't. It seems to me like that would be the only question to be answered the next time there's questions. In other words, that should be easy to answer at a council meeting. You drop the ball. Here's the situation. That's my only concern tonight for now. Advise, please. What happened? Did you not get the message? Did you not care?
Well, and I was just
Is it not available? Whose fault is it beside yours, if not yours?
It seems like at this point, Jim, and I'm honestly not with this doubting that you don't see this already, but I think there's obviously devil's advocate in all this playing, but there is spitefulness in what they're doing here.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no, I know, and that works. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to double down and outspite them when it looks this bad. Sometimes it's like, did you see that? Is all you got left for people, and they already see it. I mean, what I'm saying is, it's so easy for anybody to understand the seriousness of their transgression here. And, if you blame them correctly for it being spite, it's sort of like, I think people can figure that out for themselves in the short run. What I'm saying? It's because I love when I can look at somebody else's shit that I don't care about another subject, and read a petition and say, I don't care about this issue. How do I feel about it, though? I mean, if I did care, if it was up my alley. And that's what I notice. Sometimes there's a lot of finger in somebody's chest with the petition, as opposed to being the hurt party and people are suffering and all,
Before I get to
the finger poking can come all at once, because it'll be just as deserved later.
Well, it's crazy though, because if you look at it really carefully, think about a year ago, obviously different environment, but there were a lot of people who, if this stuff were to happen, they would have felt pressured to call it out. They wouldn't felt it wasn't necessarily that they felt it was wrong or maybe anything like that, but they felt pressured by society to call these things out. And now you see those same people, maybe not in this instance, but those same people who called out similar things in the past like this, who now under this green light we've gotten in this country of cruelty, are just doing things like this. Bonglio, how you doing?
Bonglio.
Yelling. What up?
What's up? The infamous.
How was your 420? I didn't get to talk to you after that.
How was my what?
Your 420.
Oh, it was good. It was really good, considering that it was combined with Easter. I had a good time. Hung out with the family, had good food, saw the nephews.
Missed you at the Earth Day event.
It was good weather on that Sunday. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Mikey,
So-
you are on a streak, man. You are on a streak here. People are picking your
That's
shit
what I'm
up.
saying.
This is
That's
how
what
it goes,
I'm saying,
man.
dog.
You know,
Can't hurt the champ.
you ever see those videos where people are, when I say mountain climbing, it's more of a crawl, you know, because it's like 80 degrees or whatever. And a couple of stones start coming down and they get all worried. And all of a sudden, here it comes a whole bunch, you know. It's like,
Front,
I
front
see.
page. Front
Yeah,
page
What's-
of the Asbury Park Press, brother, today. Pick it up. Pick it up. Front page.
You're going to be on Good Morning America soon.
I'm telling you,
So,
man. Everybody's been calling. News reporters keep calling me. I keep saying you're gonna have to talk to my lawyer.
And you know, and just so it doesn't escape you, I know it doesn't. You got a lot going on. First thing I think of is how many people that read that go, man, this is what I need to do. There's people getting pushback. I got nothing. Pushback. I got the right. You know, and they know that it can happen. You can break through to the point where they're not only wrong and you're right. You have recourse, and there ain't shit they can do about it. And what I love seeing in all stories, I read it like I don't know nothing. Chief Police Cicero, Officer Cicero. What the hell is this?
Leading by example. I'm leading by example, Jim. I'm telling you, if Bongholio can do it, you can do it.
Listen, I don't know if you know the movie, but it just say, what is this? Vulcanvania? There's a Chevy Chase movie. I forget who. If it was.
The real question, though.
Look up Vulcanvania on YouTube and just. See
What's the real question?
Okay.
The real question is, with a big, with your celebrity status added like it is right now, Bongholio, is the Mad Hatter going to be having appearances of you during its summer events?
Anything's always possible. I'm telling you, the sky's the limit, man. The
If I'm
bottom
not-
line is ever since I took power back in my life, all I do is win, 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 no matter what.
So on that note, I suggest
that was dangerous, Jinx, man. I just got the willies. I saw Leon Lett.
Dude,
running
I'm
down
telling you.
I saw Leon Lett running to the end zone. And he
I've been
dropped the ball.
in 7 articles in the past 2 weeks. 7 different articles, and like I tell you guys all the time, the only reason why I can achieve sleep is because it's exhausting being this goddamn excellent.
I love that.
You deserve it, man.
I'm telling you,
You deserve to do the Muhammad Ali shuffle or whatever you want to do with this because you earned it. You were
You
right.
should go around more often in the Bongholio outfit, and I'll follow you around and like just like have like I'm replacing his water, I'm adjusting the pipe and things like that. This is Bongholio. He needs to be maintained at all times.
You know,
So-
people say to me all the time, like I've been getting it a lot recently. How do you have the balls? How do you have? It's not about me having balls. How do these people have the balls? How do they have the cojones to do the things that they do? This isn't about me and my sack.
And I've been telling Lefty, I've been offering over and over again the past 3 times he's canceled for whatever reason, that I have this speech written. I have this speech written I was going to read at the council meeting, basically stating that as a witness of the state, i.e. a notary, I am witnessing a lot of illegal, immoral, unconstitutional stuff going on here. And I am also seeing a lot of improper and immoral actions being conducted by the police in response to opinions that you guys don't seem to like very much.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you know, everybody between us all, I don't know how many more Edison meetings I'm going to be going to. It's just, I just don't.
I don't want to sound like I'm telling you what to do, but I'm just saying in these situations, at that basic bitch level of people being able to go and advocate their problems, it's not something that I feel like we can stop. Like I feel like we have to keep pressing them, especially in an environment right now where marginalized people, such as the disabled, are continuing to be grow at risk.
Well, what would help my motivation is if if you or other people started to show up. That would help my motivation. But I'm already looking.
Well, kick
I've been
Lefty's ass
looking
and
for
tell
an
him to
exit.
commit to a night.
What?
I've been looking for an exit strategy for some time because I'm not going to keep going to these Edison meetings.
Look, let me see how I sum it up. Is you get the door open doesn't mean you're the one that has to put the pieces of the puzzle together. You brought the puzzle. You brought the puzzle. You got the corners together. Then you made the edges and got everything in the blue sky over here and all that. You don't need to put them pieces together, Mike.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
And you shouldn't triage your efforts. You're needed more to open doors.
My job was done months ago. So
Yes,
that's what anyone who doesn't understand the perspective that you clearly understand is my job has already been done months ago. If other people want to start coming out and stepping up, that would help the motivation. But as far as I'm concerned,
the thing I become instantly curious about after hearing Jim say that is, Jim, do you I'm really curious. Do you view yourself in that regards? Like, absolutely. I very much see you as someone who set up.
Okay, I was behind the wedge breaker, Cheryl. I was the one that was able to put her situation into an understandable form that she couldn't. And when we operated as a team, we were there just to bust the fucking door down, whether we got arrested or not. And we used the getting arrested, for crying out loud, to open up doors that were not able to be opened up otherwise. Now, the situation at Lavalette's been going on for forever. Mikey and Steve got those doors open. Nobody else needs to go fuck with Lavalette now. Nobody else needs to go fuck with Edison now. The doors are open. And if nobody can, listen. And Mikey, you got no responsibilities here. You open the door. Your only responsibility is to say, Jim can explain it to you motherfuckers if you want.
That's why I love you so much, Jim, for many reasons. But thank you for fucking validating exactly what is what with all of this.
And the reason why I said that, Jim, is because not by any criticism, but I see that as like you advocated as you did with your wife, and you still fight to this day, but you continue to acknowledge that there is still a lot of work to be done by other people.
Oh, Mike, by the way, you know what I do? You know what I do? Or what I always used to do, and I still do? I dangle credit. When you talk, thanks for their point of view. I'll tell you, man, you're going to have to answer some questions for the press yourself if you go keep this ball going, dude. You know, I mean, in some more subtle way than that, because you don't need validation from others to know what you're doing either. And that
no, not at all.
Listen,
not at all.
Yeah, that makes you the rare. That's rare. That's rare.
I've been turning down interviews left and right from the Ocean Star, NJ12, NJ.com. I keep saying any questions you can refer to my lawyer. I'm not talking to any of these news articles. My part's over. My rights were violated. I'm out. I'm out.
You do have one responsibility, though. When the court case and whatever is going to be on for sewing this one together, you need to have somewhere we all can go and celebrate with you immediately fucking afterwards. Yes. On the day of when you do the touchdown dance, have other people with you to share in your enjoyment.
I know. Trust me, I have all that stuff in the works.
I couldn't make it last night. I had a meeting, and but I wanted to celebrate last night because that was fun last night. Just watching that woman, that woman in the burqa. That was fun watching her. I know her. She's very nice. She's actually a very nice lady.
Oh shit, that was wild. Yeah. Oh, and I was hoping you were gonna. Yeah, I guess you had the meeting to go to last night. We went to the diner afterwards, and we had a nice little celebration of each other and the reasons why we come out to these things. John Falca, who I met for the first time, been following his story. He's been the oppression that he's dealt with Middlesex County is very extensive, and we all had a good time. I was hoping you were going to be there, Lefty, but I understand. And it was nice to, and I love Evelyn. Evelyn is a straight up OG, great woman, great person. She's the only person I ever seen bypass the security detection, the metal detection at the Fourth Amendment violation for the to get into the meeting. So she's an amazing woman.
That's
Mikey, listen to this. I have information about Saraville. I was supposed to be arrested in Saraville the other night.
I already know it, but tell me.
Oh, you know?
that? How do you know
Yeah,
it though?
I
too?
already know it. I focus my energy in the right places.
Yeah,
Tell
when I
me.
walked in there was a woman in a burqa, and she went up to the podium with a camera, and the mayor didn't like her. He kept looking at her with his glasses off, and he made some text when she walked in, and then another cop showed up, and from what I understand, that they wanted to arrest this woman, and the cops wouldn't arrest her.
You want to know? All right, I'm gonna say this on this podcast, and this is the first time this has been said publicly. You want to know why Saraville is doing their public meeting in a different building? Do you want to know why?
I do.
Because the last two videos that I put on my YouTube, both of them got 25,000 hits. And they didn't like that I used their public recordings to make these videos. So they changed it to a different building, and it's not as good of a quality to capture the audio and the visual. It's farther back. It's hard to hear the audio. It's less easy to watch. These towns are realizing that attention is being brought to their meetings, and they don't like that their public broadcast is being used, which is public records for us to use however we choose. And that's the reason why I thought that, Edison did the thing with the clock last night, because my last video that I did with Edison had over 4,000 hits. The video was called Calling Out the Mayor, clear, crisp quality, and then they put the clock up and diminished the quality of the recording to make it unusable and useless. So they all know what they're doing. They all know what they're doing, but I also know what they're doing. So I'm 5 steps ahead of them.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say, wow, but they seem to make that easy. Like they're going backwards at times, and you might be standing still and it looks like you're gaining, but man, they walk backwards too. And that you're there to call attention.
They told me, I called Saraville. They told me the reason why they changed the building was because the elevator wasn't working. Okay, that was going back 3 weeks ago. Since then, clearly the elevator's working because they've been doing their planning board, their zoning board meetings in the old room, the room that they've been doing it for years and years and years. But the council meeting where they worry about us showing up and using that footage, they have now changed to the senior center, which that footage is almost useless and unusable. The audio is horrible. It's not as palatable visually to watch. So these towns, they're not even coordinated necessarily. I'm not saying that, but they're doing these things on their own, and they're all doing the same outcome. It's the same outcome. I know what they're doing.
You need an intern. You need somebody with you that can make notes so you don't forget shit, because you're not writing everything. Oh, you know what else? That, and do quality recording, getting the best sound possible, doing advanced work, and actually somebody, because I'm telling you, so many people looking at what you're doing. There's people out there that might actually fit the bill where it would be palatable to you. But it's at some point, really. I mean, I'm thinking if I was watching a really big sporting event, make it more like a basketball game because of the clock. And if at the end, if they put half my screen up, a big fucking clock, and then minimize the entire game I was watching when you can just put a little timer in the corner. I mean, they could have had a big clock facing the camera full screen and still had the same effect. But
that Sayreville footage, both videos that each had 25,000 hits. They Sam Walks in Transparency, who's an online, he does stuff in the First Amendment space, government critic, police reform space. He has over 600,000 subscribers. He reshared some of my content. Rogue Nation, he's got 120,000 subscribers. He reshared some of my content. So all the stuff with the Sayreville footage, they're onto it. They're aware.
Do you have subscribers yourself? How's that work?
I only have 1,000 subscribers, but my shit's been taken off. It's been skyrocketing.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that if his subscribers see your shit, shouldn't they subscribe? I mean, some will. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Hit it. You know, come on. You know, I mean, it's gonna happen.
Enjoying editing videos.
Yeah, this is good. This is real good.
So,
real good.
Are you frozen?
So yeah, Sayreville's got it coming, and from what I understand, Dover's next.
Oh yes. Oh, I am going to show up at that one. That's my town.
No, Dover. Up. No, not
Oh,
not
no.
Tom's River.
Fuck.
The other
what about
Dover.
What about Tom's River? Tom's River became a big piece of shit too. No, they did. I forget what it is even, but I'm of the mind that I need to go back to Tom's River, and honestly I forget what it's from. There's so many pieces of shit walking around these days, it's blurring it. The piece of shit waters are getting muddied. Oh, I know, it was really disappointing though. Yeah, so that's all really good to see. Oh, before I forget, the guest today, do we need any prep? As a 520 or something?
Yeah, she'll be calling in very soon. Carmen Noonan. Nurse Carmen Noonan.
Yeah, I read the briefest of it, but you know, it's usually becomes pretty evident pretty quick. It's more when it's something I don't understand so much, you know. I mean, things I need to learn myself. I can't believe how terpene ignorant I am. Terpene
ignorance.
There. But still, no. Yeah, I'm going to get together with Brian and Joanne about what maybe she can do for letpatientsgrowNJ.com. I mean, it's pretty much an idle website without anything being added or subtracted for quite a while now. And that's fine, you know, but with Brian and me crossing paths on Earth Day, taken care of. So that was real good.
Julio. So what happened? What happened to your head, man? You got hit on the head today?
Hell yeah, but nothing can keep this champ down. Yeah, woo! Head likes to bleed. I was stringing up a canopy, and the canopy frame had this huge, giant metal lantern hanging like in what I would consider as a walk space. I mean, it's his property, so obviously he knows where his stuff is. But you know, working all day, blah blah blah. Turn around, all of a sudden I smashed my head into something that was hanging off of a pipe.
No.
Ouch.
Ow.
Yeah. Super amounts of blood. A lot of blood.
No.
Couple stitches.
No.
Couple stitches. Don't care. I'm on top of the world. No big deal. Smiling all day.
Yeah. Hey, you know, if that shit's going to happen and it doesn't put a dent in the good stuff, man, that's an immunity that few people get to know for any length of time, you know.
Yeah. I thought you had a hot date.
Ah, see, that would have been a fun date. All that blood.
Yeah. So Dover. I can't wait to go to Dover, and that's going to be fun because Mayor Dodd does not like masks or coverings or anonymous people, and he's going to be in for it.
Doesn't matter what he likes, though, does it?
It does because he's going to break the law.
Well, that sounds yes.
Well, fine, that's what I meant as far as the law goes, you know. Yeah, there you go. So what's going on there then? What are you gonna do? Come in with your mask on with a sign that he sucks underneath it or something?
No, I'm going to have a doctor's note for my mask. I'm going to have El Rampador has a doctor's note. It's called a luchador style radiation protection mask.
Oh, get out!
I hope, based on our discussions that we've had, that it's just limited to the Rampador mask, and there's no, say, body covering of any sorts.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Want some?
What's that?
Want some?
No.
Sure.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm driving.
Oh, all right.
Thanks.
Lefty's being propositioned by one of the patrons.
I'm sorry. I couldn't
I'm
hear
in
you.
love with your body.
Oh yeah, it's
That's what he does. When he sees them walk
event
in, he
space.
just
We're having hold on, guys. Hold on. Stop. We're having a religious service here, June 1st. We're having cannabis-friendly worship service on June 1st. So come back on June 1st, 10:30 or 12:30. We're going to praise the Lord and smoke weed. So, yeah.
When you think of Catholicism and all that, you look at Lefty and you're like, yeah, that's right there.
Non-denominational.
Catholic. No, I am not Catholic. Don't get it twisted. I am not
That's
Catholic.
non-denominational. Yes.
I'm Christian. That's it. That's it.
Not. Can you?
Oh, yeah,
Can you
yeah.
hear me, or am I not on?
How could I forget with all the Christian rock you were playing the other day?
Look, Lefty, can you hear me?
Do I hear you?
Yeah. Is it non-denominational? That's the word. That's the key
Yes,
word.
you can be a Jedi. You can be a Jedi Knight and come here and worship. Yes.
Yeah, all welcome.
But when people walk in here now I give them the spiel. Yeah, come back on June 1st. We're having a religious revival. And they're like, huh?
Say non-denominational every time.
This is not what I'm used to. This is not what I'm used to. I'm going home.
Okay, you made that joke now, but now for this first service, I'm going to show up in my Sith robe and lightsaber, and I'm going to say
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
I see.
You gonna podcast it?
Galaxy.
I think that's podcastable. No.
I'm going to stream it on my phone because it's not. I'm not streaming it here, but I'll stream it on.
Whatever, just so people can see it.
Catch the vibe.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, Lefty, they do have those church sermons that they do over video cast. You could do the Mad Hatter service for those who can't arrive to the Mad Hatter.
Well, this is good. All we had in Cheryl's day was because she couldn't get out to church, and I didn't go, but I would have taken her. So there was this thing from Forked River or Waretown somewhere, and it was kind of non-denominational, and the guy was like really a cool guy, but he also mixed it with stuff like the original sin. He didn't believe in it, which kind of drew me in. Make an apple knowing somebody's going to eat it and then have them do it. That doesn't make any sense. But everything else did. It had so much of everything. So Cheryl had somewhere to go only because it was on Adelphia cable. But for people who are missing, that could really provide a service, whether it's just streamed on phone or not.
True, it would.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it. I think it'd be awesome. I mean, I have a different sort of way of looking at things, but it seems like I totally am on the exact same plane of everything you would be talking about. Only I'm calling it nature, and I don't understand it as well as other people. But I'll give you a chance.
I just think there's a certain hypocrisy or redundancy to holding it in the place that they're holding it.
Oh no, we need some sage and we need some Jesus in this place. Oh yeah, this is the best. This is
Yeah,
the best
and-
place to
and-
bring it. You meet
and a
people where they
cardinal-
are. You
and a
meet them where they
cardinal-
are.
And a cardinal to issue several prayers, relieving it from the vast amount of sins that have been committed in that building.
Well, didn't Jesus hang with hookers and shit?
Yeah, he would have been here. Jesus would have hung out right in here.
He would. Right? That's the story. I love.
I love that. I love that. The fact that he just associated with a woman that was known to be a prostitute, associated with her, that leads you to believe, Jesus was into BDSM, dog.
Well, he realized she needed saving and was a valuable person in God's eye and all that stuff, whatever. And if he's going to turn over tables where people are making money off his goodness, whatever, and then turn around and treat I don't know what they call them then, woman of the night, whatever, but then do that, and then he'd wash people's feet himself. I love all those stories. I always, I call them stories. I don't mean no disrespect, but if that's what people get out of it, all that, yeah, man, it's a good thing. One thing I will give religion, it does more good than harm by a lot, although some people can almost use it. I mean, other religions, it's 3,000, right? Holy shit. How do you keep track of that? 3,001.
I think Jesus even swore, though.
I see the top of your head, Sue.
Okay.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. 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 Hi.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Hi.
How we doing?
I'm good.
Good.
We're ready.
Okay, listen. Tonight's guest, we're gonna do a little bit different of a sway. She is a cannabis nurse. She belongs to CNN. She belongs to ACNA. Blah blah blah. Her and I took the same psychedelic doula course together, and that's how we met. Carmen she's in California. She is Mexican out in California. They don't know what Puerto Ricans are. So that was like a good laugh between the two of us.
Wow.
Carmen's a very smart little spitfire, and she is really gung-ho about a lot of things, such as our own community. And I'm speaking about the healthcare professionals. Our own community needs to be accountable also, because there are a lot of people, and I hate to say this, but within the healthcare profession that, they're taking a full advantage of patients, and a lot of them are entrepreneurs and they're just in it for the money. So we're going to put a little bit of a sway on that. Okay. She's got a lot to say. And so I said, this is the best launch we could do is right here, because I think it's really important for people that are non-healthcare professionals to hear this, and before we attack our own community. Okay.
Mhm.
But we are on attack over this. We also know that, of course, with this present political climate, a lot of the legislation, a lot of the initiatives that we've been hoping for and waiting to see happen are not going to happen anytime this year. And that's a given, I think we all know that. However, if we're not doing things the right way, then no one's ever going to take us serious. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, I coached her only on Lefty. I said, Lefty doesn't say too much, but Jim's going to ask you a lot of questions, and he's going to ask you a lot of bright questions. Pete, I'd love you to stay on if you could,
Yes.
For as long as you can. Mikey, you too. Okay. Because I think when you hear the other side of the coin, it's a little bit eye-opening. I've been, of course, hearing this stuff and looking at this stuff for a number of years, but kind of got like poo-pooed. So it was good for me to finally find somebody that is seeing things the same way that I do.
Yeah.
And not to say that, we're 100% right. But there's human beings work in healthcare. So just like we have, a lot of suspicious characters outside, we have them inside too. Okay. So, ask her a lot of questions, because I wanted to provide for her a platform where she would be safe, and you guys get it. And I think it would be really helpful for all of us. Okay. Sound good?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So
And she's very smart. She's very, very smart. She's really cool.
this is one of these that I don't really need any further preparation. It just sounds, I mean, if you and her are coming from the same direction, that's a good start, And
and you know what? I want you to ask the questions.
Oh, I will wait, obviously, as long you'll see me making little notes, because I want her to have the flow, but also understand that, need to hear a bit first before even really knowing, how to begin to further assimilate.
How to ask, yeah.
I'm in a pretty good mood to hear all this, and I
good. I'm glad.
I need to really learn something today. So, Mikey provided the feel-good entertainment of somebody just finally hitting stride after a whole lot of taking shit from people. All of a sudden, it's like, and I love that stuff. But this is like a chance for me to really learn something too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it because, you haven't been wrong yet when you preface something. So I'm not on the edge of my seat, because that would be uncomfortable, but, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the questions that between the 3 or 4 of you, if Lefty wants to ask anything besides munchies and when did you first smoke cannabis?
Yeah.
I love those questions.
I know you do, but I want you to ask her. I want you to ask her other questions if you want.
I don't have to. When Jim and Bucket Man get going, I don't have to say nothing because they ask all the questions. I sit there and I just absorb everything like a sponge, like the listener. Yeah. I'm like a listener at that point. So I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
About 85% of what you just said was true, other than probably the sponge part. But okay, cool.
Yeah, the one thing I will always add, though, is if you just somehow slipped it in, because sometimes it'll be a question, and then another question, and then, when did you first smoke pot? What was it like? It sounds like a continuation of a conversation where it's actually, all right, we're going to ring the bell 3 times. This is one. This is where everybody gets it. I hate to interrupt you to do that, but if I don't, it just comes out, and you might not, because you're a part of it, so you can't sit back like I am and watch. And I'm watching people's face. See, you can't see who I'm looking at now, right? And I make good use of that. And sometimes I just see like a little flex in the face that says, "Huh?" Well, like it didn't fit. But when they know everybody gets this, and it's really, I think I love the answers, and the munchie thing. Yeah, I love those answers too, because sometimes
I do too, and that's fun. That's
holy
the fun
shit!
part.
But that's also the part of the wrapping it up, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's almost like a secret club handshake where it's like, oh, we're ending it.
It is. We're all done.
Yeah.
What's your favorite munchie food?
Yeah. If it gets by the person, and they're more ready for, it's an initiation. You have no choice except for to say, I'd rather not talk about it.
So I guess, you listen as far as you want to listen, and then chime in with your questions, or, interrupt, whatever. I don't have to tell you what to do.
Yeah. And just in case we need like a secret sign or word in case I need to shut up, how about we go with shut up, Jim?
Shut up, Jim?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. How about if I just...
it would seem like a joke to the guest, but we'd all be going, good work,
I like shut up, Jim.
How about
I like
if we just
that.
go like this? Over here, Jim. Over here.
Yeah. See, that worked,
Shut up, Jim. I like shut up, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Let's go three. Let's go Three Stooges and go ixnay, ixnay. And
Yeah,
spread out.
whatever. You know what? There's no stupid question, really.
No, there really
you
isn't.
know?
There never is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
Mikey,
stupid.
you going to stay on too? Because the more, the merrier. You're muted.
Yeah.
You're muted. You're still muted. There you go. Nope.
You're still muted. I got it.
I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on. I'm here. I'm here. I'm hanging on.
Nice.
What I think would be just.
I don't know what he said.
Yeah. He
Where are you
said-
driving to? Drive to the Mad Hatter. Make that blunt
I'm
fatter.
here.
At the Mad Hatter.
I have an unspecified thing that I'm about to do that I can't speak about.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
You go to the bathroom.
A gallon of LSD.
Yeah, doing background work. Background work. Trust me.
Okay.
I'll fill you
Oh,
in later.
yeah.
I'll
Hey,
fill you in
good
later.
I
job.
get it.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I'll let you know later.
He's on duty.
He's on duty. Look out, Mikey's got someone in the crosshairs.
I'm on duty right now. I swear to God I am. I'll let you know later.
Duty calls. Duty calls.
That's cool. Yeah.
Listen. Right now I'm doing behind the scenes work. You know, a lot of that stuff that we don't see. I'm doing behind the scenes work right now. I'm getting the job done.
Well, we call that intel, but I get it. You know.
Today's
That's
May
because
Day.
you
Is
need-
anybody
that's what I
doing
said.
any protesting around there? Today's May Day.
Oh.
Okay. They're most of them are during evening time, of course.
Yeah.
Just to, just to allow more people, but it doesn't matter because we have a whole list of like different dates and what have you. Okay. So I send you guys that anyway. So
I
Yeah, I
lost
saw
my
that
voice. I lost my voice this week, so if I try to say anything hot, hi, and sometimes like right there, it does that all, you know.
I had the
Well,
nastiest cough when I came back from Key West. Oh my God.
Well,
And
That little travel cough you get from just being like stuck in a plane and the airport and everything.
Okay. She just, you know what? She just texted me. The link isn't working. Remember that happened to Linda?
Lefty.
yeah,
Lefty.
It's the
Not
same
that
link.
again.
It's the same link we always use.
Got to go
What
through
is-
Chrome.
Does she have an iPhone or a laptop?
I don't know.
Well,
Also
ask her if she has a
from,
laptop or an
okay.
iPhone.
All right, wait, I'll call her.
Oh, we're gonna call. We can interview her this way. She can always call into the phone if she has to.
Okay.
But
Hi.
I don't-
You have an iPhone or are you using your laptop? She's got an iPhone.
I knew it.
Okay, do not download the app. Just use Safari and go to the link in Safari. Put the link in Safari.
Okay. You heard that? Put the link in Safari. I don't think I do either.
The link.
Yeah, because the you can't download the app. The app doesn't work for iPhone.
Okay. Yeah, hop on your laptop. It's easier. I mean, that's what I'm on.
Yeah, laptops work the best, really.
PC beats
Email
the crap
you.
out of a
Okay,
laptop.
email you
I
the
gotta
link again.
tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See you in a few. Bye. All right. I'm going to resend her the link.
Okay.
I think this one's going to be corrected long before 3 or 4 more tries in the future.
What is?
Well, I'm just saying, when it was first happening with our other guest, and then it happened like the next week, and then maybe the third try, it was like cursed. And it was such a good thing finally breaking through, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else ever got applause for getting on. Yeah, you made it.
I did once, but I'm not. Who the fuck knows what I did? I'm probably paying for it now.
Yeah, I was at the top of that pile, the who the fuck knows what I did pile. I mean, you know, I own that heap.
StreamYard.com. Oops. That's not where it should have gone.
Yeah, so I don't want to ask too many questions about Lavalette, but just know, because Mikey can't really talk about it. I want you to get as much money as you can, so we're not going to talk about it. But I want to go. I really want to go to Lavalette and just rub it in their face.
There's no need to. There's no need to. You don't put this amount of work in and then at the last minute drop the ball. All the work's been done. Let it go.
Yep, that's it. So there's no reason to even do interviews or anything. There's just
Okay, yeah. When there's a
You
saying,
got to know when you're supposed to be hands off. Right now, it's hands off.
any good lawyer will tell you what other good lawyers say. When you've won your case, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, really.
Simple as that. That's the root of everything. You know.
Thank you, Jim.
No, that is, or maybe actually, I think it's a judge that said to lawyers, when you've won your case, shut the fuck up is the best advice I can give you.
DE.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah,
more
they should just settle because they already spent a fortune trying to prosecute Steve and Mike, and probably going to have to spend a fortune defending the town now.
Okay, look, how big is that chapter of things they should do that they did? There isn't a chapter of that yet. So to say what they should do is, in my mind, something is not going to happen. Which only makes it, in a way, more fun to watch.
1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might double.
one's good.
They've been doubling down there, so they might double down again because they're pretty ignorant there in that town. It's
Well,
a whole.
Ben Mazzell in Wisconsin, Madison, used to do this. And he'd say, I always have one in the pipeline. Right now, I got one about out and 3 in the pipeline behind it. And he wouldn't tell you what they were.
Just keep in mind they're all watching this podcast right now. At least not live, but they're going to watch the rebroadcast. Remember that.
So real quick, I have to pop
dear
off.
Cicero. Hello. Say hello. Yeah, sorry.
The maintenance report that I put in earlier that they said they would be here at about 2 or 3 o'clock. They're here now. So I have to go deal with that. I will pop back on if this does not take longer than 15 minutes. Otherwise, I will see you guys Tuesday. I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Again, I put this to be addressed hours ago, but this is how this goes. So I will catch you guys later.
Are you going to go to Edison? Oh.
He wanted to go to Edison as a notary, which is yeah, it's pretty cool.
Said that to me when I seen him.
Yep, so that'd be interesting. But I don't really want to go back there either. I wanted to go back because of Monday of what they did to that deaf woman. That really, really set me off after all the shit that happened this year and last year, that they would allow that to happen.
That's the only reason why I went back Wednesday, and I don't think I'm going to go back there anymore.
Yeah, there's no reason to. I mean, it's just a shit show, and what's the point?
Okay.
What do you mean is the podcast over? This is the podcast, Nathan. Nathan, this is the podcast. You're in it, bro. Nathan, I've been sharing all your stuff online, man. It's been crazy.
Oh, man.
So is our guest having any luck with the laptop? Or no?
I just sent her the link. I had to recopy it into another, she'll be.
Okay. Yeah.
She's a lot more savvy with this shit than I am.
You got to send it from your messenger in Facebook to your phone messenger, or your phone messenger to your Facebook messenger. I know.
I'm gonna pop back. I'm gonna pop up. I'm gonna pack back. I'm gonna pop back on. I'm getting a phone call. I'll be back.
Okay. Mikey's he's on the job. Mikey's on the clock today. He's working. So look out. Don't piss off an 8-foot purple bong. When you piss off an 8-foot purple bong, things are not gonna go well for you.
An 8-foot purple bong.
Just don't do it. Don't piss him off. If you're going to piss off a guy who wears an 8-foot purple bong, you better be prepared for the repercussions.
I don't disagree.
he's going to get paid. They spent $18,000 to prosecute him. They're spending another $18,000 to defend the town. It's already costing them, and they haven't even started yet.
That's crazy.
Oh man,
Where'd Bucket go?
he had to jump off. He's having some maintenance issues. I think he had a clogged toilet,
Oh.
and I think there was crap all over the floor. or
For
something.
real?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
See,
been a
and
good week
maintenance-
for him. That's why I had to toss him to you.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nathan's
That's,
observer.
Michael Brennan, CMM&J Michael Brennan. Yeah, he lives in the bottom of an apartment building that had a ruptured sewage thing, and it all came up into his.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he had the CMM&J merchandise, and it was sort of like, okay, it's safe. I moved it all. And then the poor guy was sort of like everybody really had other stuff to do and couldn't help him, and they put him up in a place real quick, not that far away.
Mhm.
So of all people, me, who I've been kind of standoffish about doing much tabling or anything with CMM&J, but I can't let him, who I know to be physically not able to do it. So I just jumped in and offered everything, and then it kind of worked itself out where I wasn't needed. I come out smelling like a rose, But, it's the first time I got to explain, I never table for CMM&J, hardly ever.
Can you email it? I use Google. Okay. Hold on. Be right back.
All right.
Ay.
So anyway, it was fun. I got to explain to Mike, for the last couple of years, I've been kind of on the outside with wanting to hold Scutari's feet to the fire and hit with a general opinion of we don't want to, bite the hand that feeds them, we need them, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but over the last couple of years, I feel like we've all come around to the fact that he needs to have his ass kicked and we got nothing to lose. I mentioned, what is it like? Oh, Rattari. Well, oh man, how is he going to feel about that? Well, the whole point is not good, So anyway, I'm going to help Michael Brennan table on the 8th. So he won't have to table by himself, and he can get to see some panel discussions of a thing that's all like about lawyers. So there's going to be the place is going to be lousy with lawyers. Exactly where I want to hang out. So I told him, shit, man, I'll man the table with you with that. I'll help you set up, all that, because I need a lawyer interested in what I'm going to do at Scutari's house. So I considered the table and put a sign, needed lawyer's advice, and an arrow pointing to me or something. I do whatever I want, So I'll be able to find somebody that says, yeah, you have a right to do that. Yeah, I'll write that for you. Yeah, I'll help send that to the. So I'm hoping to get that set up on the 8th with somebody and find a lawyer.
What are you doing? I missed that.
Oh, I'm going to table with Michael Brennan for CMM&J, which I haven't done in 2 years, except at Morristown, because on the 8th, he's stuck tabling by himself because Ken with his hip replacement and other things going on by himself at an event where it's lawyers. Place is lousy with lawyers, and now I'm like, hey, you want to get to see some of the panel discussions they have?
Okay, wait a minute, Lefty. All right,
Yes.
She's got that 404 page that came up. This is what it's giving me, which would hit the link. I think I have the app on mine. You want me to tell her to call you?
That's weird. Hold on.
Okay. Hold on.
What's her email? Send me her email in the chat.
Okay. Hold on. I gotta go look for the email. Carmen.
The only time we're
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. It's MEXIRICAN. Mexirican.
Hold on.
Mexican.
All
Puerto Rican.
capitals.
Is that a Mexican Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Never heard that.
So Mexirican 78@gmail.
Hold on. You were breaking up, and hold on. It's not working. Hold on.
You want me to call
Okay,
you
try
on
it
the phone?
again. What is it again? I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. All capitals.
Shoot.
MEXIRICAN
Yeah.
78 at gmail.com.
Okay. There's the link. I sent her the link for sure.
Lefty.
That's definitely the link.
Well, I have the link. That's how I got on. I know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
See if she gets on. If not, there's a story here about the University of California, San Diego School of Medicine. They found that individuals with colon cancer and a documented history of high cannabis use were more than 20 times more likely to die within 5 years.
Yeah, they also said that about Alzheimer's too, that within 5 years, we're all going to have Alzheimer's. So I really, I don't trust anything that's coming out right now.
San Diego School of Medicine. Is the medical field political?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. NB.
I met a judge the other
Federal
day at the
funding.
State House, and the judge, well, he wasn't a judge. He was trying to become a judge. He was a lawyer, and he was well dressed. He was talking to us about what we're doing out there. And I said, well, when you become a judge, you have to be appointed, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, how political is it? Oh, he's like, it's very political, 100% political. He's like, if you're qualified and competent, that's a bonus, but it's political.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, whoa. So, yeah, all these appointments are political. Oh, there we go.
Yay, there you are. Yay, hi, Carmen.
Well,
Carmen,
Victory.
how are you?
Hi. Can you guys
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Carmen,
Yes.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself, talk about yourself, talk to the guys, and we have some people in the background too. So take it away.
For sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Carmen. I am a registered nurse, and I am at the intersection of sacred medicine, holistic health, functional medicine, basically blending sacred with science, weaving my path that way. And yeah, so that's me. I've been a nurse for 15 years now, mental health advocate for some time now, sacred medicine, I guess, holder. And so, yeah, that's kind of my path. And so,
Do you want to talk about what that means to be a sacred medicine holder?
I
I
know.
know what it means, but it's a really interesting.
I like where this is going.
well, and it's interesting because I typically don't say like I'm a sacred medicine holder. So my elders would be proud. However, when I speak of medicine, medicine can be, I think in the climate now, medicine is typically thought of as a substance. However, medicine can be music, touch, breath, and really just holding space. And so if I look at that retrospectively, with my time as a nurse, I've been holding space now for as long as I've been a nurse. And for me, or even that medicine, I have been carrying medicine for a very long time in my career, as an ICU nurse, for many, many years, the majority of my career. As well as now I'm currently, I'm an OR nurse, and a doctorate candidate for my nurse practitioner. So, yeah, and so holding medicine is really, in my opinion, holding space. But if we want to talk sacred medicine would be cannabis. Sacred medicine can also, be grandmother Aya, or ayahuasca, as well as psilocybin or Los Niños Santos, as they are traditionally called in my lineage. And for a little background, I am Mexican and Puerto Rican. My mother is Mexican and my father is Puerto Rican. So I have both kind of those lineages colliding right now, and teaching me so much in how to carry medicine and hold that space for people who are looking for alternatives to deeply heal and heal at that root level. I've wrestled for some time with Western medicine, and I don't want to at all like diminish my career or what that has, been able to provide for me. However, I feel that Western medicine oftentimes we treat symptoms with pharmaceuticals instead of really looking at root cause and healing in that sense. So yeah. So that is my spiel on sacred medicine. Sacred medicine can be many things. But for me in particular, the sacred medicine is bringing people home, so to speak.
What did you mentioned just before psilocybin, ayahuasca? I didn't.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, I don't know
Yes.
what that is.
So, and I will tread lightly because I actually don't carry the lineage nor like the even permission to provide that medicine. But it is a sacred plant medicine that is used for healing and medicinal purposes. And so I tread that lightly because I think it is also very important to speak on medicines that like I am allowed to carry or that I know of.
Well, the psilocybin seems to be more for healing your mind and your mental state of being. I imagine it might have physical implications too. But oh, and by the way, Sue, I took was it a 1 milligram dose of psilocybin from a very reliable source to see how it affected me, because I've had the experience before in the past, and a non-hallucinogenic dose was very interesting to me. And I'm going to get out of the way of the flow of the conversation with this soon, but I did want to that's a big thing for me, because it's I should have already known all this, but I'm so focused on cannabis and patients being allowed to grow. But anyway, what I got out of that was the thing I noticed was my past is real, and of course I know that, but my past, being as it is also a story, and it's become almost more of a story to me than my actual reality, because it is in the past. And I felt a connection. I mean, I felt it, not like, it's almost impossible to describe. And all I could think of is, I'm so glad I'm not like in New Jersey is what it's going to be, where somebody would be going, and how is this making you feel? Oh my God, leave me alone. I was just so perfect with it. So I'm real curious. I'm gonna, like every 3 days, I'm gonna just like, when I feel it's right. But yeah. So anyway, this is why this is very special interest to me today, because I have a lot to learn, as opposed to being one trying to impart something. So I'm enjoying it so far.
How beautiful though of an experience for you, Jim,
Oh.
to know that you've had that experience. Like the life that you've lived. You have the memories.
Yeah.
You felt it. You were there. But how beautiful to connect that. Connect it
Yeah.
here. Like it here, but you're connecting it
was
here.
subtle, but I am pretty good at feeling myself out and being honest and getting to the depth of it. But it was so subtle and so satisfying, and I couldn't really find a way to describe it. except my past felt more real. I mean, I know it's real, but it felt, and it was weird. I couldn't put my finger on it. That's the interesting part, you know. That's why I'm looking forward to pretty much everything you have to say, and I'll look
Here,
up
Nathan's-
the other on my own.
Nathan says, my first time using magic shrooms, I ate over half an ounce of caps and stems, waiting for the effect to come. But when it came, I was walking in slow motion, and I felt like I could talk to God. Hallelujah.
I had the
Yeah,
same
and-
experience.
Yeah.
The first time I did that, actually, what I had picked. Well, this is a story. Okay, this is an old time story, and Jim and I did things like this. But I picked up a suitcase at Newark Airport when you could still just go and get somebody else's luggage, and it was a suitcase full of psilocybin capsules, actually, that was coming out of California. So, you know, we were all like young and having fun and took them. And that was Jim, what you described, that was the exact same effect and experience I had, where I didn't go like that whole the 4 milligrams is supposed to be the top dose of psilocybin, you know, if you're going to journey. But just for the fun of it, for the fuck of it, you know, that 1 milligram dose for 4 straight hours, I think it was, everything was in slow motion, and it was really cool. And I wish I could have captured that and, you know, been able to experience that again, but it never happened again. It was just that one time.
It was almost like building maybe or setting that foundation, you know, and that's so, and
now,
I think in
Carmen,
this,
I'm talking like, you know, probably 50 years ago.
right. Well, because that's kind of the thing, right? I think, you know, I think a lot of us were a lot of like fuck around and find out, right? FAFO type of thing. And now, like, with the beauty of like just us evolving as like a collective and learning science and being able to study these things more, we're also able to find out like so much more, you know, along like with cannabis, right? There's testing, you can test for levels of THC, as well as like with psilocybin now, you know, you can test because, you know, with many strains, and I'll be very like honest, like I am just establishing my relationship with cannabis, because I feel like I've had recreational experiences in the past, but and also like my husband, and we can talk about that later, but my husband like used it when he was going through like his cancer, you know, stuff that he was. And but for me, it's like about establishing a relationship from the seed, so to speak, and really establishing like that bond and being able to nurture. So I'm very early on in my cannabis relationship that way, in a very sacred, cultivating way. But along with cannabis, there are so many strains and there's different percentages.
Yeah.
As well as with psilocybin now, you know, oftentimes people will say, oh, like the golden teacher. And, you know, and some will argue like, you know, a cube is a cube is a cube, or a mushroom is like a mushroom, and they're all the same, but really it's not. You can have various. And so I think that's why it's very important to, one, have a reliable source, two, be able to know if they're testing and what that is. And me, just because it's like the sacred part of me, and also keeping deep reverence for the medicine, it's also important to have that intention, you know, or whoever's providing that medicine for you, the intention that is going behind it while growing. You know, I have people say that like cannabis is not the same as it was, you know, way back when everyone was just kind of growing it. And now that it's in a dispensary, you know, I've heard that it's kind of like not the same. And so where I'm going with that is, and I guess this brings me to my point of how Sue and I, in the background with really educating. And, you know, along with cannabis, I think that there also has to be a lot of education with the use of psilocybin as a medicinal aspect. Because I recently just heard someone describe the difference between LSD and psilocybin. And LSD is like putting yourself in a rocket ship and then it's like saying, good luck, Captain. And psilocybin is like Mother Earth swallowing you and saying, let me show you. Like, and, I find that reckless because you can have, even if you are microdosing, you can have very deep wounds come up and be open. And, without proper preparation and as well as integration after, there can be harm done. You can be left with Pandora's box being opened and not knowing what to do with it. It's like your whole life exploded in front of you and you don't know. And so, I feel like, as well as like education too with cannabis, it's the same.
Mm-hmm. I had, before you came on, I had already, talked with Lefty and Jim, and there were two other of our friends on here. And I said about, how you and I have the same feeling about how holding our own healthcare professionals accountable.
Correct. Because
of what we know is going on. And I think that Jim and Lefty are, they're aware, but not to the extent that we are, because we hold licenses, and we really do want the right kind of education to get to the patients, but yet that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing in some aspects, but not all aspects, and that's disturbing. It's really disturbing. And with the present political climate, it makes it even worse.
Yeah. It can be a little wild west, Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it's important for me and I feel, as well as to add, yes, we are professionals. Sue and I, we've taken the Nightingale's oath, right? Mm-hmm. And and a lot of that is education, preparation, and do no harm. And I don't doubt that everybody wants the same, deep healing and to help people. I feel like, for me, I can speak personally. I entered the field to help, like to be of service to people. It's what I was called to do. And it just so happens that at this point in my life, I'm finally answering the call to go deeper and to help people heal in a deeper way. Being somewhat of a co-pilot, being support, because at the end of the day, we all have what we need inside of us to heal. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of, sometimes we just need a little guidance finding home. And Nathan, so I find, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nathan talked about talking to God before. And every time I took shrooms or LSD, it was for spiritual use. It was to go by myself in a corner or somewhere in the woods or wherever and just talk to God. That's what I would do. Mm-hmm. And I found that the best one that I ever took was either ecstasy and acid or ecstasy and mushrooms together. That combination for me just really expanded my mind more than I could ever imagine. And I haven't done this stuff in years, but because I don't need to. I feel like I've reached a point in my life where I've expanded my mind a lot. But now if there's health issues with this stuff now, that's a different story, because I know people that use it for health issues also. So that I'm open to that. But spiritual use, I'm all about the spiritual use of it because I've been there. But do you agree with the ecstasy and mushrooms together as a modality?
So I think that, again, right, a lot of us, I think, probably were in the mode of just like, we were with friends or just like, hey, let's see, again, that FAFO. But from what I have, have experienced and what I have heard is that, it definitely is something to tread lightly. MDMA has historically been used, before it was became a Schedule 1 and it became illegal. It was actually being used in couples therapy. because it's known to be a heart opener. It's known to drop, that the walls kind of that you put up, and you're able to understand and appreciate what the other person is saying at that time. And so I can see, how people may want to do both. However, with me and just having like that reverence, I would definitely tread lightly. There are some studies that say with, prolonged psilocybin use, there could be some risk of, heart issues. And so, it's definitely tricky for sure. But Lefty, to your, statement, yes, I have heard of people using MDMA and psilocybin as well. You know, people use a lot of shit to do a lot of shit.
How would psilocybin affect the heart? How would that
So there has been studies, and I apologize at the top of my head. I don't recall which, but there's been some, and again, these are not studies on humans. I will preface that. This is studies on, mice, that they had showed some cardiac involvement with arrhythmias and that type of thing. But again, we won't know that until there's, phase 3 trials and we actually do this on humans. If that even ever happens, I kind of have my thing between legalization and decriminalization. I don't feel that you can have legalization without limiting access to a significant part of the community or the collective as a whole. As we've seen in Oregon, you have facilities that you are able to go and you are able to have a journey with licensed people and some professionals. However, that is a cost of, I believe, starting at $3,500.
Yeah, $4,000. That's even around here. It's $4,000. Everything is being done on really basically underground. There are some psychiatrists in our area in Jersey that are using, they're doing ketamine therapy.
Correct.
Ketamine for me, you know what? I used ketamine on burn patients and it was not a good experience. And that's many years ago again, but it was under the protection of where I was working and what we were doing, because we were trying anything, because burn patients do go into burn psychosis. So we were working with not only the worst kind of trauma you could have, and the psychosis that went along with it.
Right.
So we tried ketamine and we didn't know what we were doing. And you know what? It really didn't matter. It didn't really do anything. It wasn't helpful. But ketamine is an anesthetic, and I think that like Jim and I and Lefty, we've all experienced, going down, the whole little generation of going down that K-hole, where ketamine was being used as a street party drug.
Yep.
I find that extremely dangerous, and I even find it extremely dangerous for a therapist, a licensed therapist, to be doing that. And I've
never done ketamine. I mean, out of all things I've done in my life, there's several I haven't.
You don't need to do it.
I don't plan on it. The only thing with the reason psilocybin, and you had a lot to do with it as well as two other people just talking about it, is actually one of my concerns, Carmen, you already brought up. It's having had the past that I did, there's things that I don't want brought back up. I mean, feelings I'm really reluctant to touch. And I guess I refer to it as like shadows. I feel in something or somebody else's shadow. It's really hard to describe. So when I was given 1 milligram psilocybin capsules by, I won't say here, but we all try, exactly where I want to get them. And then I went and looked online, and real quick for any little guidance, which, by the way, I found terribly amusing. Okay, I'm going online with all the people I know I could call. I'm going to see what I can find online about this. It blew me away, but I was most comfortable doing that. So I did, and it was like, oh, well, how long? And I'm laughing at some of this because my first experience was 1970 in Gainesville, Florida, where we picked a 5-gallon pot worth of mushrooms from a cow pasture and had way more than for therapeutic. But I'd already had LSD experience, and I was basically uncomfortable with some of that because I I didn't feel in control, and I couldn't give it up to that. But with something plant-based like this, especially, I am more ready to do it. But in a non-psychoactive thing, I was kind of unsure, about that, and I still have a certain hesitancy. But I'm really interested, so what I found online was, try every other day or every third day, and why. And I don't really care why. I was just looking for like the basic stuff. So
yeah, and there are some different protocols like that with microdosing in particular that you can follow. But there's also but I will also preface, there's conversation behind that. There are, you can Google, there are a lot of different programs out there that some people do to then have a certificate, and then they feel like, okay, I have a certificate and yay, I'm ready to go. However, I find a lot of them get burnt out very, very quickly because there's no preparation on their part. And being able to hold space like that for people, because like you said, Jim, there are some feelings you don't even want to touch, you don't want to go near. And if you are someone who is saying, yes, take these microdoses, it's going to be like Mother Earth giving you this warm hug, and it's going to be roses and rainbows, and you're going to feel so much love. And then your world blows up in front of you. And they aren't equipped to handle that. Where does that leave you?
I had certainly reliance on the low level of dosage and past experience. So, and once at a festival, and that was kind of fun. It was at a low level dose where I really enjoyed the next band, the one with the beards, and somebody says, "What are you talking about? They don't have beards." And I turned around, holy crap, they don't. But I found it amusing. What I didn't know was, of course, come to know, and all the amazing differences between types of cannabis and properties and all that. I never really gave it any thought. Different kinds of mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, producing noticeably different, distinct characteristics. Could you enlighten me about that a little bit somehow?
Yeah, so with recent developments in being able to test, labs now can test the amount of psilocybin in the mushroom itself. Now, typically, though, I will preface, when there is a sample given, they will ask you to send a certain amount. It could be 3 grams, 5 grams of that specific strain, so to speak, species, however you want to call it. And there are different, I think, for example, Jedi Mindfuck was just in the news out of Arizona and treating PTSD. And so again, Golden Teacher is kind of I'll say OG, old school, right? And that tends to be a pretty mildly potent strain. And then there are strains now out that are called Enigma, which 1 gram of Enigma can equal, and I'm not talking any specifics, I'm just giving examples, but 1 gram of Enigma could equal, say, 6 grams of Golden Teacher. So that's why it's super important to know what strain, what the content of like psilocybin you're working with, because you could theoretically be taking, like Jim, what, you know, in a small relatively amount of psilocybin is typically called like a museum dose, where everything's kind of like floaty and flighty, and maybe things are a little bit brighter and you can feel the music a little bit more. You're more just in tune. But you could be thinking that you're taking that, but you're taking a strain that actually is more potent in psilocybin, which could then lead you down a different path. So it's
Yeah.
super important to know what you're taking and how much you're taking, because it can alter the experience.
Yeah, well, I'm really, it's going to be an eye opener, I think. But I'm real good with the slow but sure. I'm in no hurry.
And that's a beautiful way to approach it, right? You build a relationship. You start to get familiar with what you're taking. Your body starts to get familiar with, I refer to it as the medicine. And then things kind of start to unfold. And I think I feel like the reason why microdosing, and there are, with every like study, right, there's always like pros and cons to it, and you can find one, contrasting the other. However, in my experience, establishing a relationship as far as like microdosing allows you to kind of peel back the layers, open up, like said, Pandora's box a little bit, to take a peek in and maybe see like what's coming up, what's coming forward. In contrast to a journey healing dose, or what some people refer to as a hero's dose, right? Going deeper, kind of essentially pulling that Band-Aid off. It's like kicking that door open to that closet where you've stuffed everything away and just being like, let's go, bitch, let's handle it all, right? Type of thing. And so I think, people who are hesitant or curious, microdosing can be a way to start establishing a relationship. Oh, hi, someone.
This is Shelby from the Mad Hatter.
Hi.
Hello.
She's our marketing genius from Mad Hatter.
Oh, hi.
Nathan is asking a question about anandamide. Nathan, just to answer your question, the NIH has done studies. Now, anandamide, as you know, is our bliss molecule. It's that feel good. Okay, so anandamide can be, and I don't know what the right word is triggered by foods, by anything that feels good, by chocolate, by truffles. For activity, yoga will push on that bliss molecule. So there's studies out there. Our bodies do make it. But there are other adjectives to be added to that, and there are other ways to elicit that bliss molecule, that feel good receptor. There's a good study also on the dopamine receptor. I think it's called Dopamine Nation. That's what it's called. And it talks about our CB1 receptors and our CB2 receptors and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So if you're looking for anything, look under the NIH, or look under I think it's and Carmen, correct me if I'm wrong, the National Library of Medicine?
National Library of Medicine.
Yeah.
Correct.
Look in there and you'll find the studies that you're asking about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Damn.
You didn't know I was that smart, did you?
No, I knew that. I assumed that. Now I know it, but then when you deferred to Carmen, I'm like, all right, man, I'm learning something here, But a lot of that was just, and good question, Nathan, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, Nathan, and you know what? This has got nothing to do with the FDA. Clinical studies, they happen anyway. So look under the Library of Medicine, and you're going to find what you're asking. Okay.
Yep.
Which you can really, read in more depth than I have time to talk about. I'm not talking about research. I'm talking about clinical trials on human beings.
Oh,
That I do not know.
yeah. So Nathan, I don't know if there are any studies out there particularly on what you're asking. However, you can Google the clinical trials. And so, for example, I do know, so I didn't actually give my location. I'm actually based out of California. And I do know that Dr. Carhart Harris out of UCSF is doing some clinical trials. I do know that there is a clinical trial, and I believe it is through Stanford, UCSF, and UC Davis that is doing clinical trials on chronic pain and psilocybin for chronic low back pain, actually. And there is a website. I do know I've accessed. There is a registry that will show you any clinical trials going on in the nation. I was actually able to access that through the MAPS organization, which is the
Disciplinary.
Yes, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies .org. And so, or I think it's maps.org. But you would be able to find if you were interested in potentially participating or just seeing what's out there as far as clinical trials.
And Nathan, they'll even put you on a mailing list so that you will just automatically be updated on what's coming up and where. So it's pretty cool how they do it.
Yeah.
It's there for us. We just have to dig deep to find it, and then when you find it, you'll get some information.
Yeah, for sure.
The clinical trials on lower back pain.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they, and how's that looking?
So as far as I know, it's located in California. And the way that you and he just recently put out another study that he's doing. But I know from experience with the chronic low back trial, you went on, you submitted your information, they contacted you, and you would have to be within a certain amount of miles of radius, and you would have to be clinically, by their terms, clinically fit to receive the dosage of psilocybin. And it was 2 different times where you would come in for the dosing, and you obviously would have to have a ride there, a ride home. It was 6 to 8 hours that you would spend with them, and then befores and after questionnaire, that type of thing.
So how are the results, or is this in motion, or?
So it's currently in motion.
Yeah.
And there's always anecdotal, right? Like within the community, there's always like
empirical evidence.
Yeah, there's always like community evidence or discussion on the relief, and I do hear that quite often. I hear with microdosing with certain strains, there are certain strains that are known to help with ADHD, and there are strains that are also known to help with anti-inflammatory like properties, long-term COVID. And so it's really, really interesting. And obviously my wish would be that there was more studies being done, and it wasn't so damn hard.
There's a study going on right now. I think it's in Chicago, somewhere around there. And they're doing spinal cord injuries. There's an active study going on now. So I think if you just Googled whatever, clinical trials for whatever it is, back pain, spinal cord injuries, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Something will come up. It's just a lot of digging, which it takes up time.
Well, as far as resources for me to look at this further, the having effect maybe on this or that, I mean, I can always start Google searching myself, but maybe you could point me off in any direction. You know, it might save me a
Yeah, so
time.
go the NIH, Hopkins, you know, go under the Library of Medicine.
Yeah, but for
Oops.
for specific, what strain would maybe have a more desirable outcome than another strain for specific reasons?
You know, Jim, we had Dr. Grinspoon on a couple of months ago.
Oh yeah.
And he's you know, he's substacking articles on all of this. You know, if you reach out to him and ask him a specific question, I mean, I think the man is brilliant. I like him a lot.
Well, I do too. Yeah.
Some people don't, but I do. And I like the route he took, because when we first had him, right, he was more gung-ho than he is now. Now he's looking honestly at, you know, you got to look at this realistically, because we're all different, you know, and you got to look at the bad side. You know, there's this good side. Yeah, okay, it's all, you know, happy and fun, and, you know, I feel good and it helped my pain. But what about, what is it doing to, you know, some other parts of our systems? You know, like with THC, for instance, you know. I mean, THC affects blood pressure. Nobody ever thought of that, you know, and it could go either way, either up or down.
Well, you know,
it's looking, because this is supposed to be Carmen's.
No. Please, by all means. I am also learning as well. This is what this is all about. It's communication, it's community, and it's all about just having a conversation.
Well, you know, that I wish I'd known before finding out with Cheryl with the lowering of the blood pressure with cannabis, because when you start out with low blood pressure, you know,
it can also boomerang right into high.
And it did start to. I mean,
yeah,
it would be like, I don't know, then she would just be like pass out and be unresponsive for a little while. By the time I'd take blood pressure, it'd be coming back, you know. So, but anyway, that was you know, if oddly enough, it was the one thing not used in all the time I was fighting with the MS Society. You know, it was more like it affects your balance. And I was, well, that doesn't affect Cheryl balance. She can only move a little bit, you know. But
Jim, why don't you tell Carmen a little bit about Cheryl? Because I don't think I did.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Well, if I can even bother a nutshell version, I got we married.
The nutshell version.
Married in 1984. She was already in a wheelchair, but could probably kick my ass anyway. You know, it was just she needed that for getting around. So starting out there, she had no recreational use. I was a cannabis consumer for decades. Well, actually, that was like a decade by then. And I thought, well, good, more for me. And we got along great like that. But I had no information on how this might affect somebody with MS. And after being married for 7 years, and she's really going downhill, you know, like real close. Yeah, you know, and finally I found out a JAMA article about may help with multiple sclerosis from 1979. Yeah, research proved it true. It proved to help her, and she responded by wanting to spread the word.
Wow.
For people with more time than her, which was obvious that it was going to be too, you know, it was primary progressive MS and not relapsing remitting. So, you know, there was only so much you could do. And, but it just like put everything on hold for almost a dozen years that looked like she wouldn't have. About more than 10 that, you know, and, but in the process, you know, I for 93, I pushed her wheelchair across state New Jersey with a sign on it, medical marijuana for MS. In 1993, it was like, because nobody wanted to hear about it in the press. So anyway, fast forwarding, we couldn't get arrested for doing a test. The first test, I kept hearing, okay, there's never been any double-blind placebo-controlled crossover peer-reviewed test to go on. And I'm like, well, okay, you're the MS Society. You're the biggest. Well, no, we're not going to do that. No. This is. I did everything I did because I was scared. I was afraid of looking back and wish I'd done more. So I took care of that shit real quick.
Yeah.
But then it was, okay, how about going and eating some in a congressman's office? If you look up Cheryl Miller, medical marijuana on YouTube, you can see that video. Yeah, and that was in '98, which was still relatively the dark ages, So geez, I mean, so many things. There was no mountain too high when you can't climb mountains. You just go like. So anyway, she opened the door for a lot of people. She was the first person to change a congressman's mind about medical cannabis, the way he votes on it, because there was resolutions saying it's dangerous and addictive and should never be used by any states, to slow it down. And they would do that, and we'd protest that resolution. I really think when she realized that Congressman Rob Andrews changed his position, got educated by her, and gave us a letter, said, you showed us to other congressmen, said I was moved to change my position on the issue due to your heartfelt arguments. And he said, this is a kiss of death. You'll never see another letter from a legislator saying I was moved to change my issue position, flip flop. So, yeah, and then she died in June of 2003. And then we had a real nice memorial to Supreme Court for her with patients with MS from pretty well around the country coming, arranged by people who gave a shit.
Yeah.
And, that's just I would suggest when you have a little free time, just do a Google search, see what comes up,
Yeah.
Now, just to let you know, Mayo Clinic is doing research at Montefiore, which is in the city. You know where Montefiore is, right? On Jerome Ave in the Bronx. Yes. Hello?
Are you me?
Yeah, you. Not Carmen.
I thought you were
I'm all-
talking
Sure.
over there, and I just
Carmen's in
grabbed
California.
my
We're
water.
here.
No, I
Okay,
don't.
so Monty,
I didn't know.
at Monty, they're doing some clinical trials on MS. They're doing quite a few of them, in fact. And you might want to look into that just to get some information, just to I don't know, feed your head.
Well, I'd like to see where it's gone. I mean,
Right?
the time I spent. Look, when Cheryl led the parade, the May Day parade in New York, down Fifth Avenue, the Cure is Not War is medical marijuana. I began March. She did that. She was like front and center, never been to New York, and had a big sign over her chair, nice picture of it, saying the MS Society's Dr. Reingold is like a medical marijuana liar or something. I actually, I don't always look back at that. But to march down, lead that parade, and then bring it to 733 3rd Avenue, their national headquarters, and go on inside with LV Musica, who is one of the remaining legal patients. So she could smoke her medicine outside their doors. And, but all that, and Dr. Reingold, my nemesis, was there and refused to come down and meet Cheryl. He refused. And then I wanted to leave the sign there, but they wouldn't let me do that, which was good because I had it all fixed up. I could just paste it over for the next time. So, yeah, that is my interest. And right now I'm a specialist home grower for provisions for patients, like in most every other state that has a medical program, especially a state that has legal for adults for patients, but not for them to grow. They deserve the right. It's not like many will, but those that can or have help or just want to grow it, somebody makes balm for them because it's good. All the reasons, and that's it. And then I'm free. Then I step back and take part when I can. So I guess to sum it up, I'm not a tireless advocate. I'm freaking exhausted after 3 decades. I really am. So it's I always like nights like or evenings like this where I'm really learning something that can help me. And-
You know, when we talk about like what could help us though, like, you know, because it's personal, that's where we I think that's when we dig the deepest. Now,
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with hepatitis C probably 30 years ago. I had gotten run over by a car. I had a broken neck. I had to have surgery, and I donated my own blood, and then I got a call from the blood bank, which was like everything that they did then was wrong, you know. And of course, it spread through the hospital I was working in that I had Hep C, and no one knew that much about it. And the CDC was starting to chase me down for interviews, and there were radio programs about how would you like a nurse with hepatitis C to take care of you, you know. And I was like completely thrown by it, you know. I worked in all the knife and gun clubs. Sometimes I threw my socks away because they were filled with blood, you know. So to trace back to where this came from, you know, I don't know. I'll never know.
I got a
What they
question.
were doing though, they were genotyping, of course, because when something is new, then they do things like that. So they genotyped me, and I was a genotype 4B or 3C, something like that. And it was an Asian blend. So, and it means nothing because the treatment didn't work on me. I did it for 4 months. I took myself off and said, you know what, I'll live with this. And I have.
Yeah.
I have. But when I look now, there is not one clinical study on Hep C. And they are using the same exact meds that they used before in just a different little format, you know, just like if you know anything about the AIDS epidemic, when that was going on, we were giving patients AZT, which they were dropping like flies. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a scientist by the name of Candace Pert. She worked for the NIH. She also was a bigwig at Hopkins. But, you know, like any other scientist, she was a mad scientist, you know. She was out there, and she wanted to, like, you know, her heart was in the right place. She just didn't know how to do that that kind of presentation because she was a woman working in a man's world, and this is going back, you know, during the AIDS epidemic, where nobody really wanted to talk about where it came from because it was the gay man disease. Well, it wasn't, and it's a bloodborne, whatever it is, condition.
They were trying.
So what she created was called peptide T. Okay, peptide T is a protein, and because of her interactions with others, you know, in the upper echelons at Hopkins and wherever else, you know, they kind of like just shooed her away. So what she did was she developed this whole underground railroad, for lack of a better term, and which continues today. And if you watch Netflix, if you come across the Dallas Buyers Club, that's what it's about.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so what happened with AZT was it was okay to use, but they were using too much of it, so they were killing patients. Okay, peptide T got tossed by the wayside, so it's still on the underground, and I didn't know that until just recently because I asked someone I know that is HIV positive, and they're still buying their meds underground, you know, and that's like, you know, that's pretty sad. Like what happened?
Yeah.
You know,
What happened? That is, you know, and I want to circle back to Nathan's comments, yes, about like the FDA and like in human trials and big pharma. Yes, we can go down a huge rabbit hole on that because yes, big pharma is in the business to keep us sick. But it goes beyond that. It goes with our soil. It goes with the food that we consume. It goes, you know, like, for example, I mean, I can say, like, I visited Mexico recently. I had 0 stomach issues. I felt great. I had a ton of energy and just always felt super full and just satisfied. Didn't get any GI upsets, anything. However, when I come home, I am now back in my normal environment with the food that we consume. I'm bloated. I feel sick. I feel sluggish again. And so it's huge. It starts in our soil. It starts there. And as well as, I will go as far as say, it also starts with even how we indoctrinate our children, right? We start conditioning our children at the age of 5, if not sooner, to get up every morning at a certain time, clock in, so to speak, clock in and clock out 5 days a week, and we only have the weekends off. We're already conditioning them to be in that rat race of having to work, and that can cause chronic inflammation, which then leads to other health problems down the road. And so again, that's why I'm super passionate about functional medicine and integrating holistic, and I mean, really taking it back. I don't want to say the basics, but back to what we knew.
Right?
I'm being called to take it back. Being called to take it back to the way, we used to heal each other. And that is honestly from what the earth has already given us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very
Yeah,
good
and it's
full
really
circle.
funny because every time I try, we were away when we were in Key West, I had this nasty, nasty cough. I got it maybe the last couple of days. And my husband said to me the one night, well, where do you want to go to eat tonight? I said, I need soup. I needed soup. I didn't just need soup. I needed Italian soup. I needed escarole soup. I found a place. And let me tell you something. I took a spoonful of that soup, with the beans. That's all it is, escarole and beans. And I was like, I feel so good. I could breathe, And it's just like all those little things. Like people laugh at me when I talk about dandelion soup, and I know you can relate to that because, that's what I was raised on. I was raised on all those old Italian remedies, and they worked.
Yeah.
They worked,
Even going out, and if you have a pepper tree near you, grabbing a couple branches of pepper tree, if you are feeling slightly congested or having any type of breathing issues, just get some, rub them in your hand and breathe it.
Breathe.
Breathe. And it helps open up the airways. It's just, we need to, I think, go back a little bit and return to what we know, what we already know. We know it.
As a nurse, you have to integrate what you know as a nurse, that is your job, knowing certain things about certain patients. You are or are not allowed to bring up things that might help their healing process, but you find yourself in a position where you can't do that. Is that making sense?
That's making complete, absolute 1000%. Yes,
Okay.
It is making sense. And I can say, yes, I feel constricted. I feel like for the organization that I work for, we also deal with chronic pain patients. So they come in every 3 to 6 months and they get an injection. And it's just so, and it's interesting that probably for the last year and a half, I hear over and over again, because you get to know these patients. You see them, again, every 3 to 6 months. And, it's just, it's a very recurring theme of, I'm just tired of taking all these pills. Yeah. I'm tired of coming in for this. And I have gone out on the limb and said, what's your sleeping like? How are you managing stress? And I had actually, I got really brave one day and I asked, the doctor, I said, when you see these patients, are you looking at them as a whole? How does that work? Well, and it wasn't to be sarcastic or to be like an ass or to be a smart ass. I was really leaning in with curiosity because, backstory on me, I was a massage therapist before I became a nurse. And my gift through massage therapy was prenatal care. And I thought, oh my gosh, how exciting. I'm going to go be a labor and delivery nurse. And I'm going to be able to use my massage practices and my acupressure and my aromatherapy and all of these holistic practices that I had learned, all these modalities that I had learned. Boy, was I freaking wrong. I was literally kicked in the mouth with you are one naive, and it wasn't like that, at all. And quite frankly, it was, I had the gift through massage therapy for prenatal care. However, as a nurse, that was not my gift. My gift is ICU and holding space in ICU, in intensive care units, and also OR. Like those two are my gifts. That's where I've been guided. But I have gotten, to answer your question, because I speared off a little bit. I have gotten more brave in saying, hey, maybe we should look at like incorporating lion's mane. Are you taking some turmeric? Turmeric's great anti-inflammatory.
Well, then,
Yeah,
I've discovered what it compels you to do what you're doing. It seems like perfect explanation. You can't just keep on going, knowing what you know about the people you get to know, and be constricted and giving them the information they need to make their best decision on how to affect the best outcome scenario. And that's got to drive someone to try to find the best medium possible, not like, well, I'll quit this and jump over and do this. That you are, whether you know it or not, moving it in that direction just by doing what you do.
Yeah. And that's why I am going the nurse practitioner route, because in the state of California and in other states, I'm able to practice independently of a physician. And so my goal when providing care for people is and also.
Good.
And also we can do this. And also you can try this. And, and back to my story about the doctor is, and again, it's kind of no fault of their own as well. They there's performance pressure. Insurance companies, they limit like what they reimburse you. So then therefore you have to meet a certain quota. Therefore it leads to, really minimizing or limiting the amount of time that you can spend with a patient. There's so many different things. And, and we talked about ketamine. Ketamine now is also looked at, or is being looked at, for also chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I think what a lot of clinical trials are missing, and I'm hoping that we'll see it, is the inclusion of the indigenous or sacred ways.
Eventually, but
hoping.
I'm getting, knowing Lefty as I do for all these years, I'm getting a feeling he has a question for you. That he has.
Was he waving?
Everybody that's on.
Oh, he waved.
A combination of looking at the clock, and there's certain body language that are so subtle that I've been around with him forever.
Well, we have a fun question we like to wrap our interviews up with. A couple of fun questions.
Before you do that, can I just talk about one more thing?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'll be fast.
I don't want to wrap up at all yet.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. I have been using for 2 months now. Dr. Philip Blair makes this product, and it's they're BCP plus capsules. And the only thing that's in these BCP capsules is BCP and ginger and turmeric. So, I even tried to break one open one day to throw it into my smoothie to see, just to see, because I felt like it. But what I did was I upped my dose to twice a day, because why not? I used ginger and turmeric all the time. So, and I really do like BCP. And I found that I have a better, and I know it's for immunity support and what have you, but I feel like I have a better attention span towards things, or I can accomplish more things in one day. I might be frustrated by the end of the day, but it's still, they get done the way and in the same, in that order that I want, that I see. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention that. But go ahead. Okay, Lefty, you're on.
And what about frankincense and myrrh? Because that's in the Bible. There's a recipe for anointing oil, and it's in cannabis. It's cannabis. It's frankincense, myrrh, and I know some patients with epilepsy used that combination with success.
Yeah, and that's what
so
they do in the
interesting.
Catholic Church during benediction. You know, that's what they have in their incense burners. They have frankincense and myrrh, and that's what we I can remember that as a little girl, not really understanding what it was, but now I make oils, so I do know what they are. And they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool to work with. They're fun to work with.
Isn't that so interesting? Mother Earth has already given us everything we need.
Everything. But then there's the other aspect about when we talk about Mother Earth, and you were talking about the soil before. Yeah, it is in the ground, but it's also in the air.
That too.
Our air quality sucks. It really
It's a whole.
does. Yeah. And even today when I was coming back home, I was looking up at the sky, and there's the chemtrails. And I counted 5 of them. I mean, I live in the middle of all the airports, so 5 chemtrails going over my head was like, damn, come on, haven't we been sprinkled with enough fairy dust like the past few years, But anyway, all right, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Lefty. Go ahead.
No, you got. I don't want to get fun yet because I have someone in my family that takes that's going to be on chemo, and they don't want cannabis. And I'm trying to convince them to try to take cannabis, and there's the stigma is real with cannabis. Like, you'll take chemo, all these chemicals, you don't know what they are, but you won't take cannabis to help you with. I don't know how to even convince anybody at that point. I just don't know.
It's hard.
It's hard. I think that too. I mean, it's all about like just still having like those conversations. I mean, if they're open to like seeing, because it's interesting because they may take chemo, and then also if they're experiencing nausea, maybe poor appetite, they may be prescribed Marinol, right?
Yeah.
And Marinol is the pharmaceuticalized version of cannabis. Am I correct?
Roxanne,
you are.
Roxanne Laboratories in 1985,
Right.
and off-label prescribed to Cheryl when I asked her neurologist, who was head of neurology at what was then Paul Kimball Hospital in Lakewood, and he went out and looked in the pharmacopoeia and came back, and he is angry at all the side effects of all the medicines that he's prescribing her, and this innocuous, So he did, and the state of New Jersey, through a Pharmaceutical for the Aged and Disabled program, paid for just short of $25,000 worth a year for a year of that, and it was too debilitating for her. And then when we came across how I could make this incredible green butter, it just like solved so many problems way back when. The irony was I could trade those for bud. So she kept on getting them, and then from New Jersey, and then turning it into bud that I would make then as medicine. That's about as outlaw as you can get, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Marinol is not full spectrum, though. You need that full spectrum.
It's synthetic. And as somebody who knows both of them well, there's nothing like it. Again, with Cheryl's Memorial, and when we were in after hours in National Normals, national headquarters, Keith opened up everything and had like a couple ounces for everybody, and it was just like one big smoke, about 40 people. And what amazed me was, I think there was 15 or 17 MS patients that were there, and a couple others similar, something like what else. But they were a majority of them were trading Marinol for bud. I mean, it was like watching this whole, what's wrong with this picture? You can get this medicine that other people like to get blasted on. So that's what they want. But what you want is that enveloping feeling, you know.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah.
also what I learned, I don't know if anybody else finds it to be true, but when I have pain, I had pretty catastrophic foot injuries some years back, and so I do know a thing or two about pain. But honestly, when I do something like that for pain, I never feel it leaving. It's just all of a sudden gone.
Mm.
I mean, 1 minute I'm in pain and I'm doing that, and all of a sudden it's gone. And I don't know why I can't feel the pain I felt to take it. I can't feel it ebb. It's like a sneak attack, leaving in the middle of the night or something. You know,
Jim, that's really it's really something to hear you say that, because that's the way my husband describes it. You know, like then all of a sudden it's just gone. Like I'll say,
I can't catch
playing
it
with my toys here, you know, and I'm trying to like find out, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, it's gone.
Yeah, it was when I first saw it. I remember I had this weird connection to it. It's just like when I couldn't catch Santa Claus when I was little. All of a sudden, my thing at the food would be bed. Yeah, for those couple of years, and it was just like, how does that make sense that I could sleep through Santa Claus? And this is like, you know, and you know, when I finally had the experience of having a real quick emergency operation. What was it? The gallbladder, but it was like diseased and about ready to like freaking explode and cause a problem. And when I got back, it was something as simple as Percocets, 5 milligram Percocets, you know. And so I take 2, and yeah, okay, it's a little better. And it wasn't planned, but I had no smoke. And my friend Mike Kessler came over with another friend and had a big fat one. And I smoked it, and it not only disappeared out of nowhere. That was fresh home. It was kind of severe, actually. It did that, but Mike caught me bounding up like how good I felt from seeing. He got me on my shoulder, dude. No, you know. And I realized what was going on. So with the catastrophic injury, they couldn't take care of my pain to the point when I got to the hospital 6 months later. I was back there for checking up with the main guy there who does the work. And she said to me on the way out, Kathy's pushing me out in the wheelchair, were you here about 6 months ago? You fell off the ladder? I go, yeah, that's right. She looked with such almost crying, said, I'm so sorry we couldn't help your pain. You know, she remembered that, you know. I mean, I was the one, you know, that I was just trying to pass out from breathing, or then not breathing, just trying to get myself to pass out from the pain. You know, it was, or maybe I'm a real pain wuss. I don't know, but that's how it affected me. And that when I left that the first of 4 visits, I had a joint put in my mouth before I was fully in the back door of the car, feet first, because that was my ride home, his style, like right in front of everybody. And this was long before it was legal for adults here. It was like 2012. And honestly, that pain disappeared so quick it made me want to cry. It was before we got out to the ride home. I was pain free, and I just left a hospital, a teaching hospital, that couldn't teach anybody this, you know. The whole, it really blew me away, you know, and
Really interesting.
And it sucked me in way further. And see, because I watched it work with Cheryl all this time, so I knew it to be true. But man, when
so
it was
Nathan knows some information here.
No way that should have happened. No way. And
Nathan
you know,
has
Lefty's saying something.
Oh, sorry.
Nathan has he knows about the fillers that they put in pharmaceuticals. One of them is a red dye and an orange dye. I think, Nathan, you've did some research.
Not for long, they don't.
All these things they put in.
Coming in on the radar there, right?
And even to your comment too, Nathan, about like white coat and white smocks, that is exactly why you will never see me in a white coat. I absolutely, although I respect what a white coat signifies and everything that I have learned in this process, I'm not going to commit to creating that power dynamic right off the bat, because that's what a white coat does, or even scrubs.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I have pledged to do, is not to wear my white. Even when I was just recently at clinicals, everyone was wearing that white coat, and it felt so foreign to me. And it wasn't, for a second, it was like that imposter syndrome, like, you're really not supposed to be here. You're just this dumb Mexican who, like, shouldn't be here. However, then it was like, no, you're not meant to wear it, because this is like a power trip, and that's not about that. Caring for people is not about a power dynamic.
Tell me
And
when,
the other side of that too is, there's white coat syndrome, right? We all
Correct.
know what that is, right?
when,
They go in, they see that white coat, blood pressure goes way up.
when did nurses start to, I go for, I mean, all white all the time. I turned around one point in the past, and all of a sudden it was very brightly colored, and and is that a direct result of what you were saying, or
No,
did nurses
No,
just
I think we
finally
just
figure
got
it
some
out?
freedom. I mean, when I graduated
That
when
worked.
I was a nursing student, I had to wear all white. When I graduated the nursing program, a long time ago, I actually had to wear we did wear like the traditional white dress that nurses used to wear, and I
And
still
that-
have
and the
my
little
I
hat.
still have my
Really?
cap.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I still
We didn't
have
do
my
that
cap.
out here. But I'll tell you what I think. I think it's because, what, in the beginning, if you go back in the history of the nursing profession, what were nursings? What were nurses? They were the handmaidens. Okay. So yeah, that white purity thing, and, the whole misogynist aura around it. But then we started getting more educated and doing more. So when you do more, right, you gotta wear the appropriate attire for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just told you, I took blood baths. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I think it was the evolution of our profession, per
Yeah.
se. Jay doesn't wear a white coat. Jay wears scrubs,
Right.
That's what he works in, that's what he plays in. He wears his scrubs. And they used to go, when they were doing office hours, they used to wear suits.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay's a Mayo Clinic graduate, and that's what they were really taught there, to be presentable and what have you. But that's changed. It's changed because look at us, like we go to dinner in sweats. People used to get dressed up to go to dinner. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I joke and I say, well, I became a nurse because I just wanted to wear pajamas all day.
Yeah. I mean, what's better
really,
than that? Who's better than us?
It's really not, and I think that's like also the preface to like why I wanted to come on and why I wanted to initially have this conversation is because, the nursing profession is one of the most trusted professions.
It is the most.
There you go. Stand corrected. It is the most trusted profession, and it has been for 23 years.
And
so
become evident to anybody that patient care is the nurse's care at a hospital. The doctors have absolutely nothing to do with patient care.
Well, so that's why it's important, Jim, for nurses, if they are going to be providing medicine to people or clients or start up these businesses and become entrepreneurs, like say in the cannabis business or in the psychedelic field and all of that, I personally feel we have a responsibility to thoroughly educate our patients or our clients, our people who are wanting the said quote unquote alternative or the or, right? And so it's important, and that's why it's important also to choose your words wisely, because psychedelics, psilocybin in specifically is an unspecified amplifier. It's an entheogenic unspecified amplifier. Therefore, again, like we've talked before, it can bring up undesired feelings, emotions, outcomes, and so that it's just important. Harm reduction, education, being very specific with your words are super important, because it can be, harmful. Like if I had a child who had epilepsy and I, maybe didn't have the access to maybe I didn't have the access to maybe someone's services, but I just hear, oh, there's a study on kids with cannabis and epilepsy or cannabis and autism. And I just hear kid, I have a 6-year-old kid, and I may not be able to say pay $3,000-$4,000 for consultation from someone, but I can go to a dispensary and I can get cannabis. I'm really not knowing how to dose my child.
Yeah.
I'm just, in my opinion, recklessly dosing and fucking around and finding out, which can be more harmful than helpful.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why I'm like super passionate about like education, harm reduction, and, and as well as the nursing profession, because we are the most trusted profession, holding accountability as well, being authentic, being transparent, and
Within our own
having
community. Yeah.
having community and speaking on that, but also having like these uncomfortable conversations. I mean, Sue and I could probably get a lot of shit. I could probably get a lot of shit for like speaking out on this, but there's no growth and there's no accountability if we're not talking about the other side of it, because not everything is rainbows and unicorns.
I'm also going to, by the way, before we're done, it occurs to me I'm going to be doing my own little study of multitasking therapeutic effects of psilocybin, because it occurs to me that music makes me feel good. Learning to play the keyboard now in my older age, and do that is therapeutic. And I've come to terms with how to be able to do this for myself through YouTube and all that. Yet the real clincher is the times when I'm in my zone and I'm really connected. And I felt that a little bit yesterday. The first thing I thought of is, well, I'm not going to do it like anywhere in the real near future, but I'm going to be sitting down and seeing if this can be like therapeutic in 2 ways at the exact same time. Because what if all of a sudden I start taking off and it all makes sense and I'm looking like a rat, could be that. It won't hurt, but on the other hand, if one is therapeutic, just for feeling good, that's what that's my escape now. That's how I goof off,
Well, and
But
I would
we also have to respect the fact that and not poo-poo these other studies that are going on.
Absolutely.
About things like cannabis use disorder. Okay, there are clinical studies going on right now over that. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, I don't think that's so. I've been out there too long, and I've been on the other side of the fence too long, and what have you. However, how does one determine cannabis use disorder? Okay, so you would actually have to isolate somebody for like, a certain amount of time, because Carmen will agree with me. Patients don't tell you the truth for the most part. Yes. If you ask them, okay, so what do you use? What do you do? Tell me about yourself. They'll tell you what they think you want to hear. They don't want to be that open unless they're looking for some kind of recovery or what have you. They're not going to be open and honest about it. Nobody's going to say, well, in this state, say if it's Idaho, and I don't even know if it's legal in Idaho, but whatever. But in the state like that, like, is the patient going to honestly say, well, yeah, I use cannabis daily, weekly, monthly? No, they're not going to say, because
and I can say too, I also feel that it's one, how you are presenting that, and two, the level of trust. Because, for example, for me, I hear anesthesia and also some other nurses be like, so do you use any illegal drugs? Right there.
Yeah.
It's like illegal. However, if I go in and say, is there any recreational or medicinal use of any type of, plant medicine?
Right.
When you frame it that way, it's like, I don't know. I think that it just gives them like, oh, okay, like somewhat
Yeah,
maybe
it's
of
not
like,
threatening.
Yeah,
it's not threatening and maybe like a little bit of like an ally because, and sometimes I'll get a funny look and I'm like, look, I'm asking for your safety.
Mhm.
We need to thoroughly know. And I'll tell them there's no judgment here. Like, I'm here to help you. There's absolutely no judgment. But I think as well as there's also fear.
Mhm.
There's also fear that they'll be reported,
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
and
it'll
so
be on their permanent record.
that
Yeah.
as well, Jim, you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I think there
And
is
that's
an
a drug
ICD.
taking, that's the other.
It could, yes, I think though, I believe there is an ICD code for,
For what?
for
cannabis disorder?
cannabis use,
There is.
cannabis disorder.
There is. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
I believe there's also one for psilocybin as well.
And there probably is. I
yeah, I
haven't looked
could
that
see
up, but
that.
yeah, there probably
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, fact check me, Sue, but I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
there is one. I think I just recently saw one. And so
Yeah.
again, it's we need to normalize the use of and ors,
Mhm.
the use of plant medicine.
I've been
You know,
trying.
I have young children and I talk about plant medicine and that's how I talk about it. I don't use weed. I don't use the word pot. I use cannabis. I don't even use marijuana. I use cannabis. They know that it helps. And it's interesting because one of my children, my 11-year-old, just had DARE. And it's like, but mom, but DARE said this, that,
Still around?
Yeah,
Yes,
really.
DARE
I
is
didn't
still
think they
around.
were,
Yes.
really.
I think they just snuck back.
They must have.
I actually have the DARE shirt and it's a big black marker through the word DARE.
Oh,
And I wear it. But because I'm kind of a rebel like that. Like the
that's
future is
crazy.
ancestral, right? So but it is again about normalizing the use of, and my kids know, like, oh, mom's in the kitchen, she's making fire cider again. Oh hell, it's that time. Like I need to take a tablespoon of fire cider every day for my immunity. But knowing that plants are medicine and just normalizing that, we have to break that stigma. And the only way that we can do that is through talks and education.
And the other part of that, which I think Carmen and I have discussed over the past couple of days, is within our nursing profession of holding each other also accountable, because people are people. It doesn't matter what title they have. And if we see something, it's like that saying, if you see something, say something.
Say something.
So if we see someone doing something that is not copacetic, we need to call them on it. We do. We really do.
Yeah, well,
and a lot of times, there's a lot of pushback with that.
That was my original job when beginning podcasting with Lefty. I was the one that actually heard coming back to the pod. Oh, look out, Jim's coming! Look out, Jim's coming! From Wayne Barini,
You're the whole monitor,
Lefty, and all that.
Whole monitor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was getting the permits from the state police, and I had a rapport with them, and I know that they can watch everything we're doing, and I know we're increasing the size of the envelope as our boundaries, and I always found that a little bit amusing, but I don't know, Lefty.
All right. Well, here's my question. What's your favorite munchie food?
What is my favorite munchie food? Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its. Ooh, the toasty ones?
No, just straight up Cheez-Its. Plain, old school, just Cheez-Its. It's Cheez-Its.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love
mine,
the
if
cheese.
you look back at when you asked me this, like probably a couple of years ago, and it was the cheese doodles, the hot kind, though. It had like jalapeno or something in them,
Yes.
And that was definitely right. Yeah. And where have they been lately, Kathy? By the way,
They're not selling them anymore.
You're my better 2/3 for a reason. That
Oh.
can be a better half. Real
Okay,
quick,
so-
too.
The first time you smoked cannabis, how old were you, and what was your experience like?
The first time I smoked cannabis, I want to say I was either a freshman or sophomore in high school. And it was on my lunch break. And because there's a park right across the street from high school. And smoked with a group of friends and then had to go back to Spanish class.
Oh,
Stoned out of my ass. Yeah. That was the
Oh,
first
wow.
time.
That must have been
Wow.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember looking over at my friend like, what the fuck? What is
Yeah.
going on? Like I couldn't wait to like get out of there and just get home. Like I wanted to just because then it was like that paranoia like started kicking in. And so and I wanted some Cheez-Its.
Yeah, well,
I wanted Cheez-Its.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the first time. Yeah, freshman, sophomore year or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Was it a blunt or a joint or a pipe or what was it?
It was a joint.
Joint.
It was
yeah.
a joint. Yeah. And like funny story, my son will probably kill me. But it was like, and then it was like I turned into like, my kids are never gonna do this. And you know, and then I remember catching him the first time and it was a vape and I could barely smell it. And he's sitting on his floor like, and my kid's, 6'1", crisscross applesauce, like with this big plastic like I don't know, it was like a cup from like maybe we got like a baseball field or something, like a baseball game, and it's full of trail mix. And I'm looking at him like, are you high right now? What is wrong with you? And he just starts crying, and I
Oh,
felt
no.
so bad.
Oh,
I felt so
Oh.
bad, so bad. But
Pretty funny.
He was on a
times have
deep dive.
changed.
He was on a
He
deep
was
dive.
definitely on a deep dive, and I feel bad, and again, it's not that like I was ever against the use of cannabis. It was just it was like me. Yeah, I was like a freshman or sophomore. He was probably like a junior or senior. But I think it hurt my feelings more that he didn't come to me first.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I see that.
I think that was just it, and then I just
Yeah.
like I guess I unintentionally pulled like a Jedi mind fuck on him. And just like made him bawl. I feel
Carmen,
bad.
when my kids were little, they grew a garden because I gave them a container full of seeds because they were bothering me. So I said, go outside and plant these or something, and I didn't really take it serious and even think about what I just did, and they did. And 2 weeks later, they came running in. They said, Mommy, come and see our garden. And I went outside and I was like, holy shit, man. they actually really grew plants, and they were little.
Yeah. So I have CBD. I have a blueberry CBD plant going right now, and one of the seeds is maybe not taking off. And my daughter was like, "What are you doing, Mom?" I'm like, "I'm germinating seeds," and like she's growing pumpkins right now and stuff like that. And she's like, "Well, can I have one?" Sure. And she went and planted it, so we'll see if it sprouts.
Yeah.
She'll have a good story to tell down the road,
Yeah, when she fully understands like what cannabis is, and
Yeah, but
that'll be a story for her.
Yeah, 20 years from now, she's going to be telling that story. It's going to be a good one.
But again, we have to just respect plants, and we have to, and it's all in moderation. It's all in moderation. And I will say that my attitude definitely changed towards the use of like the medicinal aspects of THC and like cannabis in general when my husband had cancer. And so he's fully recovered in remission, like he's in remission, and he's doing great, but he had cancer, 2 different types of cancer within 2 years. And so it was like, no, we're going to do whatever we can, and that was one of the medicines. And even then, having a licensure, it was really scary for us because he could have lost his license as well.
Right.
And I think that was at the time too, where like we could get cards. And so like we had our cards just in case. Right. but just seeing how it helped him and how it continues. So
It's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Carmen, do you have a website or somewhere that people can reach out to you or find more information out about you?
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram. I am Sovereign Alchemista. And also you could follow my podcast. It's Chingonas y Chisme. And so that's where we get on there and we just kind of discuss
And I have the
all
links.
things.
I have the
All
links.
things. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll
Yeah.
check one
I'll
out.
send them
Thank
out.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you so much
joining
for
us.
having me on. Yes.
Oh,
Thank you so
Carmen,
much,
thank
guys.
you so much. This was fun. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You and I, we're on a mission now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very-
I've got my torch.
Okay, good.
Pleasure
my-
meeting all of you.
Well, my
Pleasure.
high
Bye,
expectation.
sweetie.
Yeah, my high expectation.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to thank Mad Hatter for having us here at the beautiful Tea House Club next to the Mad Hatter. It'll be the Tea House Chapel on June 1st. Actually, we're going to have a cannabis-friendly worship service here June 1st, 10:30 and 12:30. Come on down to 845 Route 1 Avenel, Mad Hatter, next door to Mad Hatter. You can go get weed over there. Come over here and smoke it. I think I could say that, or maybe I can't say that. I don't know. Can I say that? Oh, geez. They're going to probably look at me. I
gave you
can't say that.
permission.
We are not affiliated with Mad Hatter. We are a separate entity. We are next to Mad Hatter. So you can buy weed over there. Really good weed. Weed like this. Here we go. Jersey Landscapes. Yummy. Pinelands Pure Pre-Roll. Yummy. So that's what I've been smoking. Oh, Nathan's been writing us paragraphs and hiding your head, Sue. Your head's going to disappear. There you go. Nathan put a huge paragraph.
1973, the year after the Raymond P. Schaefer report on marijuana. I'm 65 years old now and only went to prison for growing my own cannabis to successfully treat my own medical conditions of deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism. I too was studied by the Mayo Clinic without my knowledge at the time. Northside Hospital brought the Mayo Clinic in to figure out why I wasn't dead. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not your normal comment by any means, Nathan. Wow.
Nathan, you're pretty cool. You should come on every week.
Why
Oh,
put any
he's
wind in
so-
their sails? Just say no.
Just say no.
That was what?
Nancy Reagan, she tried that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nathan's first really in-depth question. I was wondering how Carmen felt about that.
What was the first question?
No, well, it was all about words that were really long that I didn't understand.
Oh,
and it was all of a sudden,
anandamide.
who is this masked man over here, Nathan? You know, it was sort of like, it was very impressive. You know, the conversation that the three you had after that, over my head as it was, you all seemed to understand it pretty damn good. You know, I mean,
The bliss molecule. Just
yeah,
think of that.
Whatever caught me by surprise, made me chuckle. you know.
This
I
one,
have a question for Miss Carmen, Miss Sue. Similar to why are there no clinical trials? Yeah, there are. There are.
no, that was him before. That was his question from before.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that. Like, I don't even know what arachidoniethylamide is. How do you even say that? Jeez.
Anandamide.
Well, the first part sounded like a dinosaur, but I realized it wasn't.
We have all these really cool molecules and receptors and, things that like we're just really becoming aware of. Not that they didn't know they existed, because I think they did. If we go back to like the days of the Harvard Four, the psychedelic club and what have you, that this is what these scientists were studying, until they got shut down because they got a little bit, some of them got a little bit crazy with some of it, like Timothy Leary did.
Well,
I got me- I
we
got me a
are.
late dinner, so
We're
I
gonna
gotta run.
wrap it up here. So I want to thank the Mad Hatter, and you get your blunts fatter here at the Mad Hatter. We roll them fatter at the Mad Hatter. How's that?
No, you don't. You're just a show.
Shatter. We do shatter here at the Mad Hatter.
Yeah. There
Roll
you go.
blunts fatter. And what's the other one?
Shatter don't matter when you're after Mad Hatter.
It don't matter when you're at the Mad Hatter. That's the.
That's a good. You can make that into a song, Jimmy.
Yeah,
use your
totally.
keyboard.
So thank you, Mad Hatter. June 1st, come out here. We're gonna have Puff and Paint. We're gonna have cars this weekend. There's gonna be a big car show out here this weekend. That should come out. Check that out. There's going to be events all summer long. They're putting out AstroTurf in the parking lot here. They have acres of land. They're putting AstroTurf down. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So Mad Hatter, 845 Route 1 Avenel. CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, Oprah Machine, and SativaCross.org. Please donate to SativaCross.org. We need some help.
Holla for $1.
I even donated.
Thank
Well,
you.
I always have my birthday, Facebook birthday thing for Sativa Cross 2 years in a row, and they're starting to wonder at CMMNJ.
Fatty acid protects us from harm when we're young. Anandamide is more than just a bliss molecule.
Linoleic or linolenic fatty acids. I just thought I'd throw that out because I know some words too, people.
Oh boy, I know words too.
Linoleic or in the proper 2-to-1 ratio.
Our list
So
begins.
Nathan, maybe we can have Nathan come on as a guest and we can talk about this.
Yes, well, he's been on. He's been a great guest already.
Yeah, he was on the other week.
Like really, like with his,
he's due for a return engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed Earth Day. He was the host on Earth Day.
Was he?
Our list begins with Cheryl. I don't know.
Okay.
Cheryl Miller starts our list. Sabina Rose. This list is so long that my blunt might still be. Well, I don't know. This is a long list, man. This is a hurtful list. Helpful list sometimes. Hopeful list maybe.
Jim, you're gonna burn yourself.
But Jim's going to smoke one with me. Smoke in the air for our list here because these are our friends and family. This is why we do what we do. Jim has an insurance policy. I have some similar stuff with people on this list, and I have miles to go before I sleep too, but not too many more. Cheryl Miller, Sabina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Polly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, LaWanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, and Jeff.
And Lisa's last name is DiGregorio.
No. Yeah, well, I tried to pretend like I was listening, but I couldn't help it. It has its effect every time.
No matter how fast or how slow I read it, you can't get around it. It's the list. It's there.
One or two
it's
just
hurtful
stick every time. Oh, but it's also motivating. I understand it. I'm good with that. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
whatever it takes.
I'm all primed to leave and have me a pork chop.
God bless you too, Nathan.
Bless everyone.
All right.
Bless your name. Thank you, Nathan.
I appreciate that, Nate. All right, man. I'm out of here.
Good night, everybody. See ya.